And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia number 214. We don't miss a week, Papi. We don't miss a week here on the CranKy Ducklings. I am Katowice, and less than 24 hours ago, we just got back to our apartment, and we are here to cover some amazing, some beautiful StarCraft. And welcome back, everyone, and here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our South Korean Terran player living in the land of Japan, representing Team Hyper 1. It is Hon Mono. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Zerg player, representing, I believe, still the Kwangdong Freaks. I may be mistaken. I'm going to have to double check that. But I believe representing the Kwangdong Freaks, it is Su. Here we go. Our ZVTs before us, of course, our weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. And welcome, everyone. Welcome again. Today is a very special edition. As I just mentioned, a lot of the Koreans are still here in Poland. A lot of the Koreans are still not quite back in the land of Korea. Not yet, they're still here. As a result, this does leave the tournament wide open for anyone to take. I say that there is a player that did leave early, there is a player that did return early from Poland, and that was Oliveira. Oliveira did return home. Oliveira is back home, and Oliveira is competing in this week's tournament. I believe he's the only Katowice player, the only Katowice Korean / player from the Asia region that has made it back home, so he is going to be competing here tonight. But there's still some high caliber players here, still players that can threaten Oliveira. Even though Oliveira may have been a part of the IEM Katowice event, we still have players like Nightmare, we have Creator, we have Su, we have Hon Mono, we have 3 Point, Coffee, and many others. So there are players that can threaten Oliveira, but Oliveira is coming in as the highest rated player in the entire event. Again, we'll see if anyone can bring him down. I believe there are some pretty top tier contenders, but we'll see. We shall see. Regardless, we're just easing our way into the ZVT. Hatchgas pool standard opener out of Su. Meanwhile, Hon Mono across the map is going for a very intriguing opener. Is going for a Rax expand. That is true, but that is a CC on the high ground. That is a Rax in the main base further away from the wall. This is a very odd setup. This is not standard. This is going to be a delayed economy out of Hon Mono. This is going to be coming in as a bit of a surprise. Overlord Scout is dipping on forward. Will confirm the lack of CC, and I imagine that Hon Mono wants to force an overreaction. I imagine Hon Mono, he wants to make it look like he's playing one base. It's like, hold on, CC, where is it? It should be here. It should be on the low ground. It isn't. We can see that the CC is already done in the main. It's already in orbital. We're making SCVs, but Su doesn't know that. And Su, how does he react? He is taking a third base. He's making queens. He's making drones. He is double checking, goes up the ramp, and he will get eyes on the CC. Gets eyes on the third CC as well. He's aware of the economic opener, and Su has not overreacted. He hasn't thrown down a roach warren, a baneling nest, spine crawlers. He is happily droning up. He does not fall for the peculiar opener of Hon Mono, and he still has the Ling in the main base. He gets a full scout, does confirm everything, and more importantly, he sees what comes next. It is not a starport, it is not a Rax, that is a second factory. Hon Mono is playing Hon Mech. Now, we have, I believe, seen some Korean Terran players dabble in double factory, transitioning into bio. That is a possibility, but the Lings, they get across the map, they take down the Marines, or they can have their way with these SCVs, maybe even delay the third base, but more importantly, we confirm the Cyclones. We confirm, of course, that we are producing more Cyclones. No tech lab, so we're not rushing into Hurricane Thrusters, we're not rushing into Blue Flame, or anything of the sort. But that is the third factory, so it is just full-blown mech here out of Hon Mono. Again, Su, for the most part, is prepared for this, or is mentally prepared for this, is preparing back at home, throwing down a Roach Warren as we speak. Again, we have seen some players dabble in Ling Bane Hydra, but over the course of the patch, over the course of the past couple of months, we have found out that Ling Bane Hydra is just too fragile. Can work, but is not the most reliable against battle mechs, so Roach Ravager, because of how tanky it is, because of how many shots you can take, Ling Roach Ravager specifically, is more ideal, and it is what Su is working towards. Overlords are on the way. A bit of a supply block for Su, unfortunate, but we'll soon break free. We are just amassing Cyclones back at home. Finally, we have the Tech Lab on the third factory, which means Hurricane Thrusters should be on the horizon here. That is, of course, going to be Cyclone speed for Honmono. Meanwhile, Su gets eyes on the would-be third base. It's already done. It's already being floated onto location. Honmono is being so greedy here, but Su sees everything. We'll confirm the army move out, and back at home is just preparing. Is just spreading creep, getting into Roach production, taking all of his gases, double Evo chambers soon to be on the way for 1-1 upgrades, and yeah, we're just getting in towards the mid game. Su is in a pretty good position, I would say. Hasn't lost too much of his, or hasn't lost any of his economy, has scouted everything, is responding beautifully. A fourth base should be on the horizon soon. We'll see which fourth base Su does take, some more exposed than others. Interesting. Okay. Before the fourth, as the Lings, they do manage to get in. Oh my god, the mule! The mule's gonna go down. Some of the SCVs as well. Good damage being done here by Su. Can we catch a Cyclone? We will not be able to, but we do deal some economic damage. We force back the army. Hurricane Thrusters is on the way. We're amassing even more Cyclones. Now, what I was getting at is that Su delayed his fourth. He delayed this fourth base in favor of the Infestation Pit, a much faster pit, leading into much faster Infestors, leading into much faster fungal growths. Fungals are going to be key here to shut down the otherwise mobile army of Honmono. I love the idea of rushing into these infestors, of rushing into fungal growths, of making sure that we are secure defending against this. Now, I'm saying fungal, I'm saying infestor. We haven't seen any of that yet. We're still amassing Ling Roach Ravager. The army does rock up here onto creep, and we do have an army to work with for Su, but is it enough? There we go. The infestors are finally on the way. I do think these are late. I do think these infestors are delayed here, and can we get away with it? We shut down one, we shut down two. Two Cyclones go down. Honmono, he doesn't want to tango with this army. He will retreat, which means we do have time to produce these infestors. And remember, with the new patch, the infestors, they pop with enough energy for one fungal growth each. So we are more than prepared here to lock down this army. Honmono is going to back off, and Su is going to be able to recover economically. Remember, Su sacrificed his economy for the tech, for the infestors. As a result, his fourth base is delayed. His droning is a little bit later than normal, but he is now redroning. He's now saturating and getting into that fourth base. Meanwhile, Honmono, upon seeing the setup, he retreats. I do think there was an opportunity for him to pounce on this army, especially when it was smaller, but now it's too late. Honmono, he's missed his window, and maybe wisely so does retreat. I say that because Cyclones are very much so fragile, and they're very much so based on snowballing out of control and just getting out of hand and getting on top of the army here of Su. We'll see if we can pull that off. We do push on to creep. Creep is being denied. Here are the fungals. Up. Fungal growth will connect on 6 of those Cyclones. And as I say that, 6 Cyclones will go down. Another fungal does connect. A lot of losses here for Honmono, and he will have to retreat. That was a big fungal from Su, again out of left field behind the tall grass. Su, he came out with the fungal growth. Honmono, he pays a massive price as a result. Su is about to max. He's about to max out here on Lingbane Roach Ravager, or Ling Roach Ravager. Honmono, he's forced to retreat. He's transitioning out of Cyclone. I say that, still massing Cyclones, don't get me wrong, but you can see he's working towards Widowmines and tanks. He's turtling. He's recognized he has lost map control. He can't really do much here on a Golden Aura. He has to retreat. He's working towards tanks instead. More factories on the way. He still has a marauding force of Cyclones, but 1 or 2 good fungals will spell the end of this army. Will spell the end as we are pushing forward here, dancing. We do take quite a number of losses here, so not the most efficient trades out of Su. We'll have to back off for the time being. Meanwhile, Honmono is still amassing more of his army. We do have a 5th CC on the way. Additional factories are about to finish up. We're still continuing with Mass Cyclone here, which again, I'm not really convinced by. We'll see if we can be convinced. How many infestors do we have? We still only have 2. Oh, only 2 infestors. Is that going to be enough? Army pushes forward. We deny the 5th base. Roach Ravager lagging behind again. Because of the lack of infestors, we can't really lock this army down, but maybe I spoke too soon. The Bard Infestor is about to pop out, and we do land a fungal, only grazing 3 of those Cyclones. Oh, we catch another 4 Cyclones behind that. Mine Shot's going to be going off. Good vials there from Su. A couple of Cyclones will escape, but again, we did take some massive vials to the face. Looking at the unit loss tab, that was 9 Cyclones going down. Expensive losses there for Honmono. Behind this, a Spire is done. A Hive has completed. Greater Spire starts up. With that, we're going to gain access to Broodlords. Of course, before that, we do need to work on upgrades. 1-1, 2-2, eventually 3-3 air upgrades here for Su. The other big thing is that his only win condition here is to deny the 4th. Deny the 4th, deny the 5th base, contain Honmono, delay his economy for as long as possible. Finally, Honmono is going to be expanding towards the north, but there is a Burrowed Ling ready and waiting, getting eyes on any would-be 4th base. Meanwhile, the 5th is denied once again. Su with very limited crease spread is going to be denied here. We do have a minefield set up. But are there enough Widow Mines? We're trying to come in from behind. Where are the Fungals? Fungal growth's barely grazing the army. Gets one single Cyclone. That's not going to be enough. Su forced back once again. Honmono, that wasn't a bad trade. He denies the base. He backs off. He shaves off a lot of Roach Ravager. There's one Fungal growth remaining. As he push on forward, catching even some of those Ravagers. Oh, clutch scan there. We do see Honmono now he's aware of the Burrowed Infestors. He's trying to preemptively scout them. Oh, he sees. He does see. He does notice. Fungal only gets a single Cyclone. Honmono backing off. Still massing Cyclones here, refusing to really transition into mech. Or I say into mech. Into a more turtle style, into mass tank. He's got a handful of tanks, but not too many. Meanwhile, Honmono does get eyes on the goal base, and he will bring it down. Does complete, but there's no mining whatsoever. Su, he's struggling to build up a bank. Like, he has 3k minerals, 1k gas. That is true. But Honmono, he has a more efficient army. He denies another 5th over and over again, just containing Su. Just 2 marauding packs of Cyclones. Meanwhile, Honmono back at home. It doesn't really have much to defend. He is vulnerable to a Ling counterattack, but Su doesn't know that. Su just perpetually contained. Now he is building up a Broodlord count. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. I mentioned before, yes, we do have Broodlords, that is true, but the upgrades are lacking. Severely lacking. +1 air attack just now begins. These are 0-0 Broodlords. Now, Broodlords tech-wise are still at range. Of course, they outrange the Cyclones. They can force them back. The downside here is, of course, if the Cyclones ever close the distance, if they ever get on top of these Broodlords, they will kill them. Meanwhile, another denial here of the southern base. Broodlords are now revealed. Big hatch here from Honmono. Now, how does he react? He's still making 6 Cyclones at a time. He doesn't really have many starports set up to get into Viking production. The other big problem, where are the tech labs? Without tech labs, there's like one factory with a tech lab here in the main. Without them, no Thors. No Thors are available. Honmono, he is locked into pure Cyclone. Again, he is not set up for a transition whatsoever. But he is breaking his way through. He's getting on top of the Broodlords. 1, 2 Broodlords go down. Ay. This is what we spoke about. Again, these are very fragile Broodlords here. Not the best upgrades. Meanwhile, +2 has completed for Honmono. +3 vehicle attack, vehicle weapons on the way. And again, those Broodlords that weren't as impactful as I'm sure he wanted them to be. We have more Corruptors, more Broodlords going to be on the way. Honmono trying to catch out the Infestors. The scan is real. We catch both Infestors. No more Fungals. No more Fungal growth. 3 more Infestors are on the way. Good kiting here from Honmono. Does shave off a good chunk of Roaches. Looking at the battle report here, 6 Roaches did go down. 3 more Infestors on the way. Again, they will have 1 Fungal each. And Honmono, he believes in the mass Cyclone meme. The Cyclown, Poppy. I don't blame him. He gets on some of those Broodlords once again. They're exposed. 1, 2, 3, 4 Broodlords. 1 Broodlord does remain. Massive cash there from Honmono. Again, you can see that if these Broodlords are left on their own, they are so vulnerable. They go down in an instant. Now we are making 5 more, so there are going to be 6 in total. Once again, we catch the last one. The final Broodlord. They're getting caught out. Big catch here from Honmono. Every single Broodlord falls. 1 does remain. Fungal grazes the army, but again, doesn't really catch much of those Cyclones. And we can just kite for days. Su, he plummets in supply for the first time in the entire game. Homono takes a supply lead. He's making 9 Cyclones at a time. And again, I do believe that this Broodlord transition was too soon. Typically, you do want to build up your upgrades ahead of time. You want to build up a secure supportive army first. But maybe Su just wasn't really expecting the mass Cyclone, not like this. Wasn't expecting Homono to double down and to commit. You see Homono still being very active here, clearing up as much creep as he can. He does have a more maneuverable army than that of Su. That final Broodlord trying to escape. They've been seen! No shot. Once again, 8 Broodlords in production. One gets caught. The other's still in the way. We could have maybe dove in, but then Su would have come in from behind and would have collapsed on the army. So Homeowner has to be very careful. He has to respect those infestors. Again, there are those 3 infestors remaining. Drilling claws on the way. Homeowner in the midst of taking a 5th. Oh. That is a scary thought. Su trying to get his 6th hatchery up and running. Did get his 5th up. Broodlords have arrived this time with supports. You can see how different this is. Broodlords now with Roach Ravager here underneath them. They can force this army back. We have the infestors as well. Su, he's prepared for a fight. Ooh, and the SimCity working against Honmono. Yeah, big fungal growth. A lot of Cyclones get caught out in a head-to-head fight like this. Cyclones, they're less than ideal. You can see how good they are, marauding across the map, harassing, poking, prodding, hitting bases, catching some of these high-tech units. Yeah, we're going for a base raid. Homono, he knows he cannot fight this head-on. He's going for a massive counter-attack. And we're going for a base raid. 4th base of Homono does go down. Oh, sorry, 3rd base of Homono goes down. He scans, sees the 6th. Catches the 4th base of Su. And he's not going to stop. He's not going to slow down. We have 42 Lings in production, though. And Lings, they can fare better against Cyclones. And Sui turns back around. He wants to catch this army. Su is supply blocked. Is supply blocked. Another hatchery going to be going down. Oh, the Infestor gets scanned. Big catch. Infestor gets scanned. Another Infestor going to get caught out as well. The Lings, they've arrived. And we get a mass surround. A massive surround of the Cyclones. We clean everything up. And Su, he gets the fight he was looking for. Homono, he stuck around a little bit too long. He gets caught out. Sends his reinforcements here towards the 6th base. He's not done. Again, continual counterattacking. Continual harass. Homono knows that, again, if Su gets across the map, he cannot be stopped. Su's army cannot be stopped, which is why he's forcing Su to turn around. And Homono, he may have lost the he may have lost the CC, that's true, but he has a 5th. A 4th, or I guess now a new 3rd, a 4th, a would-be 5th base here on the right-hand side. The Cyclones, they just non-stop counter-attacking. Oh my god, we catch another Broodlord! These Broodlords, they're looking vulnerable. They're looking on their own. Need to get out of here. Mine Shot's going to be going off here on the Roach Ravager. Now, Su does have a bank. He was supply blocked earlier, but you can see Su, he has plenty of minerals to work with, plenty of gas. What he doesn't have, Larva. He has lost a lot of bases. Larva is limited here for Su. The Broodlords no shot. Once again, the Broodlords go down. The Broodlord count gets reset. And we catch the Infestors. Big pick off here by Homono. Su, he has money. He has no longer Larva. You can see here the Larva has run out. We are rebuilding hatcheries. We have lost queens. We cannot spend our money. If we could, then we could hold. But Su is struggling. Catches another fungal. Catches another group of Cyclones. Not too bad, but there are too many. There are far too many. We just take the fungals to the face. Homeowner, he pushes on forward. He knows he has the advantage. Another fungal will connect. But Homeowner, he doesn't care. He takes the fight, takes everything to the face. He likes it, Bobby. He likes it. Cleans up all the roaches, the Ravagers, the Infestors. He takes down this hatchery. Broodlords are on the way, but once again, they're all on their own. It's going to be a cancel on the hatchery, and he sees... Does he notice? He does. He does notice, and he will get on top of them. The Broodlords, there are 5 of them on the way. And can we finish? It's going to be close. Up. It looks like we barely will. Yeah, the Broodlords, they do complete. At the same time, the Wall of Spinecrawlers do hold on to this 4th base. Honmono, he's barely not breaking through. Su is surviving, and he gets a hatchery, which means more larva. Now, queen-wise... 3 queens. We have 4 bases and 3 queens. Again, we are not injecting efficiently. We do not have a lot of larva. And you can see that Su is burning through his bank. With all those Broodlords, we're burning through that bank. Cyclones, they get caught out once again. Homono did end up losing top right. But he's lifting up his main base, floating it here at that triangular 3rd location. Still on a 4-base economy, is running out of minerals. That is true. Like, these resources are finite. But overall, he has a better economy than Su. That's all that matters. Meanwhile, Su is recovering. He's redroning. Let's take a moment to breathe here. Okay, we have 5 Broodlords. We have 4 Infestors. A decent amount of Roaches. Once again, I do want to say that even though Su is down in supply overall, that is down in worker supply. Army-wise, Su is ahead. Army-wise, Su, he can actually take a fight here, but he knows that if he moves out, he will lose more bases. He knows that he can't really, he doesn't really want to risk a base trade. And Homeowner, he's ready for it. He has a flock here on the right. He has a group towards the left. He's ready for a base trade if ever Su moves out. This round. Oh, these Broodlords once again exposed. Cyclone's getting ready to come in. Mindshot going to be going off. The Broodlords are looking once again quite vulnerable. Homeowner, he wants it. He wants the Broodlords, but here come the Infestors. Here come the Infestors. Big fungal growth, but it doesn't matter. We collapse here on top of the Broodlords once again. They get caught on their own. Broodlords, they need supportive units, and every single time Homeowner, he catches them on their own. Without fail. And for the 3rd or 4th time, the Broodlord count is completely reset. 0 Broodlords remaining. 0 Broodlords. Su, he's down to Roach Ravager. He at least kept his Infestors alive. The Infestors, they did survive. Homono getting ready for another counterattack. Ready to hit that southern base, and it's gonna be going down. Yeah, the hatchery no long for this world. At the same time, Su does catch a group of these Cyclones. Not too bad with those fungals, but he's out of position. A very immobile army. Again, this is the power of Cyclones. They're so fast, they're so quick. Just pulling Su apart. Su, he can never keep up. Or I should say, Su needs to be preemptive here. He needs to be in position ahead of time, and he's just not being able to. Very limited creep, very limited vision. Very limited map presence, but he does catch some of these Cyclones. Big fungal. Oh! Gets only 1 Cyclone. Infestors are going down. We're down to 1 Infestor left. And there's 1 Infestor left here for Su. He's got 1 fungal in the chamber. The Ravager's getting caught out. Big catch here from Honmono. Just rolls up on those Ravagers, cleans them up, and he can kite for days. Oh! There's 1 fungal. He sees. Does see. Does retreat. And we're just making pure Cyclone here. Su can barely keep up. Again, he's down to 1 Infestor, 1 fungal. And here comes Homeowner rotating once again. Su evacuating that base ahead of time. Does save those drones. Homeowner, he's even squeezing out a couple of Hellions, because why not? Just to spend his resources. Lifting up his CCs, taking more bases. Long distance mining. And Su, he's down to Roach Ravager. He does have 3-3. I will say that at least. His upgrades are solid. But the reality is, as we've been seeing, Cyclones, they can kite against this army so well. Su does get another hatchery. Does get another CC. CC? Sorry, hatchery. He gets another base up and running, but he's down to 33 drones. Again, he barely has an economy. He's running out of resources. He's on 1.5 bases. To be fair, against the 2 bases of Homeowner plus mules. There's that 1 Infestor. Is borrowed. Looking for the army. Spine Crawler does go down. Su coming in. Show us the fungal. Don't go for it yet. Again, we're looking for the opportune moment. We're waiting for Homeowner to push in, and then we can fungal and lock down the army. And Su, with good biles, can take a fight. With good biles, with good fungals, good spells overall. But it's not going to be easy. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for Homono. Here we go, pushing in! No! We do land the fungal, but the Infestor does go down. And one fungal. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough here, as we can kite this army back. All the way back here to the bases. No planetary, by the way. SCVs are going down. But Suhi bled out so many roaches. How many went down? 15! Trading 1-to-1 with the Cyclones. We deny the base, but that was an expensive trade there for Su. Widowmine's... Oh, the minefield! No detection. Widowmine's going to be going off. Gaining value. 3 more Infestors on the way here for Su. They are on the way. As Homo, he's even getting the gold. The gold is up and running. Su, I believe, has no idea. Yeah, he hasn't seen the gold base. Trying to collapse on this army once again. Good fungal. Very nice fungal growth here on these Cyclones. Su taking a much more efficient fight. Now, the problem here is that Su, he needs to fight efficiently, that's true, but on top of that, even that's not enough. Because of the gold base, Homono, he can just rebuild and keep maxing out on pure Cyclone. But at least Su, he's holding on to these bases desperately so. Hasn't lost any of these workers yet. We can see Homono, he wants to though. He wants to dive into that mineral line, if at all possible. Su is in position. Fans out a couple of lings, and he will come across the gold. Big scat for Su. Does get eyes on the gold base. SCVs are going down. At the same time, Su pushing on the right-hand side. Lings here towards the mineral line, but planetary is on the way. We are in position. Su pushing on the right, and Homono, he ignores the army. He goes for another counterattack. Now, this hatchery doesn't mean much for Su. He can give it up. There's no mining whatsoever. So I like this move from Su overall, just because he can afford to lose a base. And maybe he can collapse on this army from behind, but Homono, he sees it coming. The Infestor! No, another Infestor goes down. We do fungal some of those Cyclones, and we do catch 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5 Cyclones go down. Not bad. Not bad. Again, Su losing a hatchery that didn't mean much. Homono rotating around. Su trying to keep up. Looking at the unit tab, 33 Cyclones. 33 Cyclones to the 23 Roaches here of Su. Su trying to sneak out top right. I don't see him getting this base. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Honestly, I don't see Su expanding outside of the bases he has now. It's going to be so difficult to take another hatchery. I believe that's going to be a kill. 7 hatcheries are fallen. 20 Broodlords as well. 161 Roaches. For how many Cyclones? 262. Almost 3. Wait, we're reaching. Can we reach 300 Cyclones? Can we get there? Can we get to that point? Roach is going to be going down. Have we seen that before? Not a bad fight for Su, but the Lings are being roasted here. Lings do get annihilated. Roach is going down. Rough trades for Su. Again, bleeding out more Roaches. Roaches that he cannot afford to lose. 271. We need 29 more Cyclones. Can we kill 29 more? Can we reach 300? We've lost almost as many Cyclones as we have Lings this game. Almost. We're getting there. So do rotate around. Here we go. We are pushing forward. We catch a couple of these Cyclones. Only a couple, though. Ooh. Hatchery once again is denied. At the same time, a nice rich hit squad here does deny the gold. Good moves out of Su. Hitting with the economy here of Honmono. Infestors, oh, they do get scanned. Infestors are going down. How many do we have left? One lone Infestor remaining. We do see Honmono just maxing out. Essentially, he's almost at 200 supply here of Cyclone. We're getting there. A couple of tanks are trickling in as well. Just see him pushing forward. And Su's being starved out. He's down to 1 base. He's down to half a base left here. 8 patches remaining. We have 1 patch here at the 3rd. Nothing left in the natural. Nothing left in the main. Su, he's running out of money. He's running out of steam. Tries to engage tanks. They have sieged. Good piles out of Su overall, but it's a numbers game, and the numbers, they don't lie. They're in favor of Honmono. We do see Su forcing back the army, but he bled out almost all of his roaches. The Ravagers did remain, but GG gets called. That's gonna be it. Su taps out, and Honmono takes game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Honmono does take game number 1, and what a game 1. That was over half an hour. That was only game 1 of this series. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for what is to come here, and yeah, I mean, that was a rough game for Su. To wind it back, as we were mentioning throughout the game, there is someone asking in the chat, why is Su going for Broodlords? Broodlords are good against Cyclones, but as we mentioned, Broodlords, as we saw, are good. 1, if they have supportive units. 2, if they have, you know, good upgrades as well. We saw that multiple times whenever Su consolidated his army, whenever he had the Broodlord Infestor with Roach Ravager as well, Honmono couldn't fight. Honmono, he was avoiding the main army of Su, but the problem is that because Honmono's army is more mobile, he just went for the base trade. Just constant base trades, catching out base after base, drone after drone. He crippled the economy of Su. On top of that, multiple times we saw Honmono out-positioning Su and catching out the Broodlords. The Broodlords wasn't a bad option for Su if he was able to babysit them, right? If he's able to babysit them, if he's able to build up a death ball, like critical mass of Broodlords, keep them alive, keep them safe. But multiple times, Honmono, he caught out those Broodlords time and time again, never allowed them to really snowball out of control. And as a result, it was kind of wasted resources for Su because he was never able to really unlock the full potential of the Broodlord against Mech. Unable to get there, and now here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the blue Terran player from the land of South Korea, living in the land of Japan, representing Hyper 1. It is Honmono. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Kwangdong Freaks. It is Su. And we're going for a proxy. Again, Honmono, there's at times Hon Mech, there's at times Hon Macro, but really the innermost demon of Honmono that does typically come out is the cheese. Honmono, he's the cheesiest Terran player in all of South Korea. We do have 2 Raxes down here towards the bottom left. We do have an SCV Scout coming in, making things look normal, maybe making things look ordinary, when really they're anything but. No gases. No gases from Honmono. Raxes are about to finish. It's going to be proxy, or 2 Rax Marine with bunkers, I imagine, outside of the base. We're amassing Marines. Su, he's checking. He checks with the Overlord. He does come across these Raxes again. Honmono, he has a reputation of being cheesy, and Su does find him. Let's go. Here we go. Bunker going to be on the way in the middle. Bold position here for the bunker. We'll see if we can get up and running. Is going to get some progression going here. There we go. An additional bunker is going to be on the way. Forced to cancel, though. Nice positioning there from Su. He does shut this down. And Su also doesn't overreact, but he may need to deny these bunkers. We have a wall on the way. Marines are amassing. And can Su stop this? Ooh, gets an SCV. Gets one. Gets one SCV. Queens are still in production. The bunkers, they may be able to finish. It's going to be close. Boys are being pulled. Su diving on this position. Focuses down one of the bunkers. That's going to be a kill. But the other bunker does complete. Yeah, bunker does finish up in time. Another bunker on the way. We're pushing on forward here. The queen is under threat. It's under fire. And it barely will survive. Mature decision from Homeowner. He does retreat, does back up, but he's within range of the hatchery. As here we go, we are pushing forward. Oh, we get the queen! The queen barely goes down. Barely does go down. The hatchery down to half HP. Oh, Su's supply blocked. No shot. He can't make anything. Can't make any more lings. Can't make any additional queens. And that means the hatchery is going to go down. Ay, ay, ay. Hon Mono coming out swinging. The boys, they have to be pulled. The boys are being pulled. Queen gets focused down. The bunkers, they stand strong. And so much damage is being done. 8 drones, 10 workers do fall. The hatchery falls as well. The broodlings, they do collapse here on some of these marines, but good movement there out of Homeowner. He does hop to the other side of the bunker, and Homeowner, he cleans this up, and he's running away with this game. He's running away with this series. Too much DPS, too much firepower. GG gets called, and just like that, I apologize. I had the wrong score on screen, but Homeowner takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. And with that, Homeowner, oh, there it is. Homeowner will take the series at 2-0, and he will advance on into the next round. My condolences to Su, as he does go down in the first round. A rough loss. Again, Su, he is not a full-time player. I know that he has a legacy behind him. I know a lot of people have a lot of expectations for Su, but he's not full-time. He's not full-time. He plays whenever he has free time, outside of his main job, outside of, other commitments. And as a result, he is not at the form that he once was. And Homeowner has been on the rise. Homeowner has been improving quite steadily over the past couple of years, ever since the beginning of COVID. And Homeowner, he is reaching peaks that he never has before. Now, before, he was known for only cheese, but now he mixes in macro, and his macro is terrifying. He's very scary, he's very chaotic as a player, and again, he's amazing at what he does. So GG, well played. Homeowner does take the series, and we can take a moment here to have a look at the bracket. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys wish to have a look at the bracket yourselves. Let's catch up from the top. From the very top here, okay, we have Classic, who is facing off against an unknown, a more amateur player, but the winner of that series goes up against Homeowner. Homeowner advances on to the quarterfinals. That is where our attention lies. We're going to be following Homeowner most likely into Classic, and Classic is going to be another big name here. As you can imagine, most players that travel to IEM Katowice are still actually in Poland. Some of them are actually on their planes right now, but few of them are back home. Few of the Koreans are back home, or actually 0 Koreans are back home. There is one though. There is one player that went home early. That is, at the bottom, Oliveira. Oliveira, he did go home early. Unfortunately, I think he went home before the final day, so like 2 days ago, or over a day ago. Oliveira, he did go back home, so he's actually competing in today's weekly. Did make it home just in time for ESL Open Cup Asia. And he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, again, potential Homeowner versus Classic up next. That's going to be what we're casting here on the CranKy Ducklings. Scrolling down, we have Coffee going up against Nightmare. Nightmare takes down 3.2-0. That's going to be a spicy series. Nightmare has killer PvT. Likewise, Coffee, also an unorthodox player, difficult to keep up with. Very spicy series, very good best of 3. Scrolling down, Creator versus Nice. A PvP is currently ongoing here in the lower quarterfinals to determine who faces off against either Jeshi or Oliveira. Again, Oliveira still going to be the one to beat, but there are some big names. There's Creator, there is Nightmare, and there is Classic. And even some dark horses like Honmono, like Coffee, like Jeshi as well, like Nice. We do have some potential upsets available here in today's weekly. Basically, just pure Terran and Protoss. Su and 3 Point were our Zerg representatives, and both Su and 3 Point have been eliminated. No more Zerg here in our weekly, only Protoss and Terran do remain, but some really good matches on the way nonetheless. Really good matches here are ahead of us. We're going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a short break here. When we do come back, we should have Homeowners next series. Again, we're waiting for Classic. We're waiting for our potential PBT. It's going to be some good stuff. Going to be some good stuff. Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait. Meanwhile, just catching up in the chat. Just going to be catching up. Being on vacation in Poland, still casting StarCraft. I mean, remember, I got to Poland over a week ago, and I've been casting on a daily basis here. We've been casting, been making sure we don't slip up, we did take some time off because of IM Katowice, so we did take like 4 days off from casting. This is the longest, fun fact, I believe these 4 days off has been the longest quote-unquote vacation, like I was still engulfed in StarCraft. But the biggest break we've had from casting in a year? 2 years? Hold on. I want to check this. When was the last 4-day break I'm looking at our calendar. When was our last 4-day break? July, June. Oh. No. May. April, March, had 2 days. February, 3 days. In February of 2023, we had a 3-day break. Still not big enough. January, we had 2 days. December 2022. Okay. So just now, we had a 4-day break for IM Katowice. That is the longest that we have gone without casting on the CranKy Ducklings since December of 2022. In December 2022, we had 5 days off. It was Boxing Day, the 26th of December, up to the 30th of December. So we had a 5-day break there. So that so yeah, that was our longest break since 2022. Wow, there you go. Fun, a bit of a fun. I was curious. Bit of a fun fact. That's how much we cast here on the CranKy Ducklings. Again, we are the most active channel out there. More active than Wardy, more active than Steadfast. These guys, they go on longer breaks. Nah, papi, we cast all the time, non-stop. Oh, beautiful. But yeah, with that, we're going to be going on a short break. Here. When we return, we're going to be back with some more StarCraft. See you soon. We just got an update. Classic just 2-0'd his opponent. Classic versus Homeowner is coming up next. We're going to wait for their vetoes, and then we'll jump back in. So see you after a short break. Enjoy the Brood War OST. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that short break here as we have returned with our next series with our second matchup of the night. We just casted Homeowner take down Su 2-0, and now we're getting into a TVP. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have one of the favorites for this entire tournament, for this entire weekly. It is the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Blue Terran player, the South Korean Terran living in the land of Japan, representing Team Hyper 1. It is Honmono. Going for a proxy. Here we go. And again, Honmono, something important to bear in mind is that I would say that he looks strong, don't get me wrong. He looks strong against Su, but his best matchup is TVP. The reason why this is his best matchup, as he does get scattered. No, Classic, he does come across the proxy, shuts down the racks, and will be forced to cancel. Brutal moment here for Honmono. I was gonna say that Honmono, the reason why he's terrifying in this matchup is because he's so aggressive. He 1 base all-ins, 2 base all-ins, proxies, does crazy stuff, difficult to keep up with. But alas, he has a reputation. And Classic, he gets on top of that building depot, that building. eBay will deny it, throws down his Nexus on location. Honmono's opener has been kind of thrown to the wayside here. It is in shambles. Classic having a very strong start in our first game. In game number 1 here, again, Honmono stumbling out of the gates and is going to have to try to recover. We do have a CC on the low ground. It's going to be a Rax expand transition, Marine first, limited scouting. Honmono, he is forced to come back home with that SCV. No Reaper either. Stuck at home. Bunker is on the way, and Classic can do whatever he wants from here. Classic is very comfortable back at home. And again, Classic is one of the best Protosses in the world. He's second best Protoss in all of South Korea. Unfortunately, Classic did not make the cut for IEM Katowice, but the saving grace is that does mean he can be here back at home to compete in ESL Open Cup Asia. And really, that's what matters. That's what matters most. Big shout out to Asheri in the chat, subscribing 17 months, 12 months in a row. Yeah, gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for subscribing. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Gracias, gracias. And meanwhile, I spoke about Classic doing whatever he wants. Robo opener here. Very defensive opener, actually. Interesting. So again, Honmono has a reputation. So Classic, this is basically a hard counter to a 3-Rax. If Honmono was 3-Raxing, Classic would shut it down. We can see that it's going to be a 1-1-1 transition out of Honmono. Classic doesn't know that, but he's just setting up defensively nonetheless. The reason why I say this is a defensive opener out of Classic, no Stargate, no Twilight Council, as he's being aggressive with these handful of units. This means no Blink, no Phoenixes. He can't really harass, he can't really threaten his opponent with too much. He is in his face with a handful of Gateway units, as he otherwise would be, but the follow-up isn't really there. With a fast Robo, that means fast Robotics Bay, that means fast Colossus production. We could even go into a fast Disruptor as well. It does mean we're going to have a terrifying army leading into the mid-game, but we won't have much of a presence on the map until the mid-game. Oh, good control. Oh my god, Classic escapes with the Adept as well. Does manage to barely shade away, trading so damn well. Picks off 3 Marines, but the Cyclone has arrived, and the Cyclone should shut this down. Oh, can we get the Adept? Oh, we barely do not. Adept shades back in towards the main base. Do we get a scout off? We get eyes on another Rax on the way. Now, that is a big tell. If it was a 3-Rax, we would have already seen... I mean, there would not be a Rax in production because they would already be done. Seeing this Rax tells us that if there was a factory and a starport. So Classic, really good scout, will deduce what the opener was, will deduce what's coming out. I mean, he already saw the Cyclone. He already saw the Cyclone anyway, so he's aware of what's going on. Taking a third base and building up Colossi. First one is on the way. And by the time Honmono pushes out, we're going to have 2. We're going to have 2 Colossi already, maybe even 3. The Stargate is an odd choice though. I'm caught a little bit off guard. Stargate is on the way after the Robo and after the Twilight Council. This is very tech heavy here for Classic. It looks like Classic maybe wants to rush into Skytoss. I'm feeling a fast fleet beacon. We've seen Classic do this before, specifically on Alcyone. Now, the reason why I say this map is large. It's big, it's huge, very defendable, very difficult to break this location, especially with 2 Colossi. Like, because we have so many Colossi so quickly, we can't push into this. We cannot break this 3rd base, so we can afford to tech up. Stargate is done. Phoenix is in production initially. Interesting choice here by Classic. Phoenixes, they can of course shut down drop play. Charges on the way alongside those Colossi. And yeah, we're just again working with a very small army, but a very high quality army, just building up defensively. Home Mono, what are we up to? We do have a 3-1-1 setup, pretty standard setup here on 2 bases. From here, we can throw down a 4th and 5th racks. We can throw down a 3rd CC and build up towards a later game. Now, Home Mono, he is known for 2-base all-ins, but this isn't really the best setup. Never mind. I was going to say, this isn't really the best setup for a 2-base all-in, but let's go. We pull the boys because it's Hon Mono. He does what he does best, okay? He's known for pulling the boys. You think he's going to go against his reputation, against his nature, against who he is? No, papi, no, he cannot push away, cannot redefine himself. It's all about the brand. It's all about pulling the boys. And here we go. Bunkers are on the way. Colossi are in position. We take down, oh my god, the first bunker, the first tank. Big force fields. Massive cash there from Classic. Takes down the first tank. Now we do have Disable. We do have that interference matrix available. 3 Colossi are available. The tanks stay on siege. They on siege. Massive swipes here on the Marines. Big trades here from Classic. We do get 1 Disable off on one of those Colossi. But we have 2 more left, and we are just shutting this down. Shaving off so many Marines, so many SCVs. 7 SCVs go down. And you can see how difficult it is to push into this position. The high ground, the ramp, the shield battery, the overcharge, the force fields. There's a reason why late game is preferred on Alcyone. GG gets called. Classic shuts Home Mono down. And Classic takes game number 1. GG, well played. Again, it was a rough start for Hon Mono, a very safe opener for Classic, and you could see that again, he built up those Colossi so very quickly, and specifically on that map, it's just so difficult to pull off all-ins, especially when your opponent is being that defensive. It feels like Hon Mono played into the hands of Classic. Remember, Classic, he shut down the proxy, he shut down the eBay block, he played defensively against a would-be 2-base all-in. Classic just read Hon Mono like a book. That's the downside when you're very stylistic, is that being stylistic also means that you're a little bit predictable, is the unfortunate reality here. Now, what I will say is that Hon Mono has been spreading his wings. Hon Mono has been, again, really approaching things in a newer light. In other matchups, less so this one though, but we'll see. We'll see if he can come back, as here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the red Protoss player, the South Korean Protoss, representing Twisted Minds, leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player representing Team Hyper 1 down in the series, looking to fight back. It is Hon Mono. Ooh, and I like this more from Hon Mono. So Hon Mono, again, he has a reputation. He's known for cheesing, he's known for being aggressive, known for being all in, and he goes for a fake proxy racks. Now, Terrans, they have the ability, they have the option here in the early game of this matchup to throw down their racks at the natural, at the 3rd base location. Sometimes they throw it down further back in the main as well to hide the first racks, to try to force an overreaction from the Protoss player. That's the goal here, to force Classic to panic, to force Classic to open up defensively, and Hon Mono can be greedy behind it instead. That's the goal, at least. The goal for Hon Mono. Classic gonna be dipping into the main base does, of course, confirm the missing racks, does get eyes on both gases. You can see he's checking the main, he's checking the low ground third as well. He's looking for the racks, trying to figure out where it is, if it really is across the map. And he's going Zealot first. It's working. So far it is working. He is zoned away. Factory has been thrown down. And this first Zealot is necessary. If it was a proxy Rax, we would have a Reaper coming out, and we do need the first Zealot here to defend against the Reaper to minimize economic damage. So already a small win for Honmono, as he forced out a Zealot that otherwise wouldn't have been made. Now we can see Classic, he's aware of what's been going on, he's aware that he's been duped, and he's sending that Zealot across the map. He's hoping to gain some value, some kind of value here with his first Zealot. Reaper in production, Probe tasing away at the wall. It's going to be a Rax expand. Interesting, despite the double gas opener, we're going for a faster CC, or I mean, say Rax. Rax into factory into expand. CC's on the way. Classic hasn't seen this yet. Zealot does dive in. We force a recall. The Zealot is going to be saved. Zealot does escape. Probe did fall. And we have our tech of choice back at home. Classic is going for a Stargate opener. Is going to Stargate. With this, he can gain a lot of scouting information. He can harass, of course, with oracles, with adepts. I'm sorry, with adepts, with oracles, with phoenixes. Should be going Phoenix first, but we'll see if he does dabble in the oracle. If he decides to be a little bit more aggressive instead. Yeah, there it is. Phoenixes are in production. Honmono back at home, getting into his 3-1-1 setup. 3 Raxes, 1 factory, 1 starport. Again, a pretty standard setup here on 2 bases. CC will soon be taken, and Classic doesn't really know what the follow-up is yet, but he soon will, as Honmono is getting across the map with quite an army. Good target firing here on that Cyclone, sorry, on that Hellion. Hellion goes down, good target firing here on one of those Reapers. Good pickup as well, and how much damage do we get done? We get 2 probes. 2 workers here. As the Hellion can barely escape. Up! Barely does get away. Can't say the same for the Reaper. But overall, that was 3 Reapers, 1 Hellion for 2 probes. Not the best trade here for Honmono, but what I will say, what was worth it is scouting. Honmono did see the Stargate. Of course, he saw the Phoenixes. He's aware of the Stargate opener. He's getting ready back at home. Marines are amassing. A Viking is already out. Honmono, he's mentally prepared for the Phoenixes, but is he physically prepared? Is he in position? As we are committing to the shade. We dive here on the army. Phoenix is going ham here on the Marines. There's 2 Marines left. There's 1 Marine remaining, and it looks like we will barely hold on. Clutch repair there on the SCVs. Good unsiege from Honmono. He does hold. Behind this, working towards Phoenix, I imagine Colossus. We have a safety immortal on the way. We should soon be seeing the Robotics Bay getting into Colossus production. Very standard play here from, or very standard follow-up from Classic. Very meta. There's the Bay, Phoenix, Colossus. Phoenixes are designed to shut down drop play. Colossus designed to shut down anything on the ground. The boys are being pulled. Honmono, he's pushing here and now, but he does get spotted. SCVs are getting picked off. Phoenix is trying to slow down the all-in, trying to slow down the push. Honmono very committed here. Luckily, Classic did make a safety immortal. Again, there are some players that skip this immortal just to be efficient, but Classic played it safe and it pays off. He has the immortal, the tank buster, the bunker buster itself. Can just chunk away at those bunkers and tanks if we can close the distance. Second immortal on the way. Shield battery finishes just in time. Big Volley's first bunker does go down. Oh, the Viking. First Viking does fall as well. Good pickoffs here by Classic. Doesn't lose anything yet. Disruptors on the way, not the Colossus. Bold move out of Classic. To go for the Disruptor. Nova has potential, that is true. Void Rays on the way, just making whatever we can. Pylon is going to fall. We depower the Stargate. Big Nova does connect on those tanks. The repairs is going to be enough. It may just be big tank volleys here on the Immortals. Good target firing out of Homono. Good repair as well. Keeps the tank alive. Homono pushing towards the production. Void Ray just barely will come out. Cybercore falls. No more Stalkers. Void Ray takes a lot of damage. The Novas, oh no! There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run. Massive connections here on the Marines. Homono was doing so well. He was doing so well, but there was no escape, no medevacs, no pickups. Those are some beautiful connections, and that was 22 Marines going down. And now we can clean everything else up. Homono, he had potential. He had so much potential with the all-in. ... GG gets called the power of disruptors. And classic, he does take the series 2-0. GG. Oh my god. That was so unfortunate. GG, well played. That was so unfortunate for Homono. Like, he was doing so well. He killed both Immortals. He killed the Cybercore. Did a lot of damage to the Void Ray. If it wasn't for those Novas, maybe Homono breaks his opponent. Maybe Homono breaks the natural. He would have had a chance. Regardless, he would have had a chance. But those were the juiciest Novas available, the juiciest Novas possible there for Classic. And with that, he will win this series. He will advance on to the semifinals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Classic as he does move on. And the question becomes, who will he face off in those semis? Exclamation mark B. Exclamation mark B in the chat to have a look at the back of yourselves. Let us switch over. Let us figure out what has been happening and where we are. Because I see Nightmare in game. I do not see Coffee. Nightmare versus Coffee was ongoing. We don't have any results. We don't have a score, but I believe that series may have ended. Yep, we just got a result. Nightmare 2-0's Coffee. Nightmare versus Classic coming up next to determine who advances on to the grand finals. Here we go. Let's quickly set that up before we move on. To that lower half. Okay, there we go. Scrolling down, we have Creator versus Nice still ongoing. Oliveira does take down Jeshi 2-0. Oliveira waiting for his Protoss opponent. Nothing but Protoss left. Outside of Oliveira, of course, is Classic, Nightmare, Creator, and Nice. Can Oliveira weather the storm, figuratively and literally? And can Oliveira work his way through all the Protoss and become our champion? Or can one of our Protoss, can the Kala stop him? Can Oliveira be stopped? We are here to find out. Again, vetoes are currently underway. Vetoes are underway, and that PvP is coming up next. Here we go. I'm catching up in the chat. Catching up in the chat. Oh, I see. I saw the reaction. I saw the reaction to the Nova. Again, like, just to wind it back a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, Homono was doing well. Like, remember, he killed both Immortals. Like, he was working his way through the tech. He was pushing in towards the natural. He had so many Marines available. But, you know how it goes. Sometimes the Protoss balls, it's more than enough. And the Novas, the Disruptors, they are the great equalizer. They can make or break a fight for you. They can make or break a game. Unfortunately, there was no way out for those Marines. And with that, Homono does bow out. But it looks like it's going to take a moment here for our players to conduct their vetoes. So we're going to be going on a short break. Going to be going on a very short break here. And when we return... When we return, we will have our PvP up next to determine who faces off against either Oliveira, Creator, or Nice. We'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the semifinals of ESL Open Cup Asia number 214, the IM Katowice edition, where the players, of course, most players in Korea are out traveling, coming back from Poland or still in Poland, returning from a big premier event. And that means that everyone else can vie for the championship spot here in the ESL Open Cup. And who's it going to be? We're here in the semifinals, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is ClanKy. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss from South Korea, representing himself. He is currently teamless, looking for a team deserving to be on one. It is Nightmare. Let's go. And even though coming into this classic, I would say is the second best Protoss in South Korea, second only to Hero, he's very well rounded. What I will say is that there are some players out there that are hyper specialized in certain matchups. And I would go as far as to say that Nightmare, he has arguably the best PvP in South Korea. Arguably the best PvP in the world. I say arguably, MaxPax has some killer PvP as well. A little bit predictable, but killer nonetheless. But Nightmare, he has taken down some big names over the past couple of months. He has taken down Hero, Classic, Creator. Nightmare, he has beaten every single Protoss player in Korea over the past, I say couple of months, couple of weeks even, in the lead up to IM Katowice. Nightmare's PvP is insane. So even though on paper, in general, like he's considered to be a weaker Protoss player than Classic, what I will say is that specifically in a head-to-head matchup, Nightmare is, I would say, probably coming in as a favorite player. But here we go. We already have some mind games going on. Nightmare, he goes for a probe scout. He sees, hold up, where's your second pylon? We can see it. Second pylon has been thrown down out in the center of the map. This is a fake proxy pylon from Classic. Nightmare is still trying to deduce that. He does send out a second probe. Second probe comes out, and this is already worth it. Now Classic has an economic lead because two probes from Nightmare are out scouting. Meanwhile, Classic doesn't have that problem. Doesn't have two probes, only has one probe on the map to set up to confirm whether or not there's an expansion. Does avoid the two adepts, and is slipping in for a follow-up scout. Nightmare, of course, going to be expanding here on the low ground. Going to be a 2-gate opener, 2-gate adept into additional adepts. Adepts are soon to find each other. Ooh, and we do see Classic coming out. Actually, pretty even trade. Classic will be losing one of his adepts. Good control out of Nightmare. He does back off, does get away with a better trade, and I believe, yep, Nightmare, he does come across that second pylon. He also does confirm the pylon on the low ground, so he's fully aware that there is not any cheese, there's no proxy, there's no all-in, not yet. Meanwhile, Nightmare goes for a Twilight Council here on one base, should be looking to expand, and there it is, expansion on the low ground. Gonna be faster blink for Nightmare. Meanwhile, once again, Classic tries to push in, but he gets caught out here by the Stalkers. Good trades from Nightmare, does force back Classic, get some extra hits in. Classic behind this, his take-up choice is going to be a Robo. This will be for Immortal production. So Classic, he will be behind when it comes to the quality of his Stalkers, but he can make up for that with Immortals overall. As looking at the Unisource tab here, again, Nightmare has out-traded Classic, but Classic has a faster expansion. Classic has a faster Nexus, which means just faster production, faster probe production overall, better economy here for our red Protoss. Nightmare, his own Nexus still on the way. Blink has to make up for this. Of course, Blink being chronoed as we speak, and the game is going to be settling from here. We have Classic chilling here on two bases. We have Nightmare across the map, working towards Blink, still waiting for a gateway explosion. There we go, third gateway's on the way. I'm waiting for the fourth gateway. As I mentioned before, because Classic knows he's going to have the Stalker deficits, that's where the Immortals come in. You can be down 5-6 Stalkers. With a couple of Immortals, you can make up for that fact. You can make up for your lack of Stalkers, for your lack of Blink. Immortals, they do amazingly against Stalkers. Here we go. As we are just going to be building things up, or building up. Robo has been thrown down. Again, this is going to be a safety Robo. We should be working towards detection, towards our observers. Nightmare hasn't seen too much here. He did confirm the Robo first, so he's fully aware of the delayed Twilight Council. Should be safe against, otherwise would be Dark Templar. As the game is going to settle from here. Classic now building up towards 4 gates. Nightmare, I believe, still on 3. Yeah, and on 3 gateways, he's going to be working towards a 3rd Nexus. So Classic overall going for something more macro-oriented. No Forge yet from Nightmare. I'm waiting for the Forge for +1. Meanwhile, Classic is going to be committed. Remember, he delays his 3rd base in favor of better production. Even if he throws down a 3rd now, we have a Prism on the way. We have a Warp Prism, we have 4 gateways. Classic is pushing. Classic is pushing out. There's that Forge that we spoke about. So again, Nightmare, he's setting up for a longer game. Faster 3rd base, for a better economy, Forge for +1. As the game progresses, Nightmare's army quality is going to be better. But Classic, he should be pushing. The Prism has arrived. He has 2 Immortals. There we go. We are moving out. Now, this is not an all-in for Classic because he has his 3rd base, but this push is designed to get damage done. Here we go. We're fanning out our units. Nightmare getting in position. A 2nd shield battery on the way. He knows how much danger he's in. We do have sentries amassing. Force fields are available for Nightmare. Again, Classic, he is up 10 army supply. He has a larger army. Both players have Blink. Nightmare's still working on his 1st Immortal. And still working on his gateways. He has less production. Here we go. Classic is pushing in. So far, good force fields, but we have Blinks. Sentries, one of them does go down. Yeah, we trade sentry for sentry. But the Immortals are doing so much damage here, forcing Nightmare back. The overcharge is forced. We can focus down the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. The 2nd one is out of energy as well. And Classic, he is barely breaking through. Boys are being pulled. Nightmare, all he has to do is hold on. Easier said than done. Good juggling here from Classic, saving that Immortal. 10 probes fall. And Classic, he reinforces here on the front lines. Zealots on the way to buffer. Nightmare, he's barely holding on. And just like that, Classic takes a worker lead. Takes a worker lead. Still ahead with that Immortal. He doesn't kill Nightmare. He wants the Immortal. Not gonna get it. Once again, good control here at a Classic, keeping it alive. His own Immortal has arrived though. Nightmare, he should be able to force this back. He dives onto the Prism. Prism somehow survives. Oh my god. Somehow does survive. The Immortals, they trade with each other. But Nightmare pushes on forward. He takes down the Prism. +1 is about to kick in. Nightmare, he could go for a counterattack if only he had a Warp Prism. If only he had a way to reinforce. Nightmare, he is pushing. Again, Nightmare, he's behind in the economy. Behind in the probe count. He's about to have +1. Does kick in. Shield batteries are not ready, by the way. Again, if only we had a Prism. If we had a Warp Prism, we could keep pushing. But Nightmare, he backs off. Charges on the way. We're probing. And Classic, he gets away with it. Does get away with a better economy until a couple of Adepts do shade into the natural. Does shade in. Does get 3 probes. Good damage done by Nightmare. Prism is being rebuilt. Nightmare is posturing, but I believe he doesn't really intend to commit here. Trying to get whatever value he can, gets a pylon. And yeah, he's working towards a 4th. Nightmare is working towards a longer game, a later game. Oh. Ooh, as Nightmare, he's getting caught out. Bleeding out a couple too many Stalkers. 2, 3 Stalkers go down. Yeah, brutal pickoffs there for Nightmare. And he's a little bit later with his 4th. ClanKy already throws his down. I thought that Nightmare was going to be a little bit faster there. He does have charge. There's a window. There is a window where charge is not quite done here for ClanKy. And Nightmare, he can collapse on this army. He can 100% need to take a fight. And ClanKy gets caught out. He gets caught out. We dive on top of the Prism, on top of the Immortal. Prism does avoid those shots though. But Nightmare, he can commit and he catches the army. Stalkers are going down. We get a massive warp in, but will it finish? It barely will. But the Immortal goes down. The Immortal was picked up at the wrong moment. GG gets called. Nightmare, he catches out the army, catches him with charge. And Nightmare takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there from Nightmare. And again, as we mentioned, Nightmare, he has arguably the best PvP in South Korea. And things are looking quite close. Things are looking dicey there. ClanKy was able to take an economic lead. But he was falling behind in a longer game. Remember, he had late charge, he had late forge, late upgrades. Nightmare, as the game went on longer, he was able to snowball a little bit. And a slight advantage can mean everything in a PvP, in a mirror matchup. Any slight advantage can just win you the game. And again, ClanKy was caught with his pants down, was caught out of position, unawares. And Nightmare needs one more to advance on to the grand finals. Here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner. In the bottom right-hand corner of Hard Lead, we have our South Korean Protoss player. The Red Protoss representing Twisted Minds down in this series. Can he fight back against the PvP master? It is ClanKy. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the PvP master himself. Again, he's been bringing down hero, classic creator. Any Protoss player in Korea does struggle against him. It is the blue Protoss, currently teamless, Nightmare. Here we go. Now, honestly, looking at the lineups here this week, it almost screams Nightmare because I've spoken about this before, and I know we have a couple of new viewers in the chat. For those that are maybe unfamiliar, Nightmare, his best matchup, PvP, just slightly behind it, PvT, he has a terrifying Protoss versus Terran as well. We've seen Nightmare defeat Beyond, we've seen him defeat Gumiho. Like, Nightmare, likewise, his Protoss versus Terran is terrifying. What lacks, though, for Nightmare is PvZ. He reminds me of Skillus a little bit. Nightmare's PvZ is his worst matchup, by far. He struggles against, you know, Solar, Shin, Dark, DRG. The Korean Zerg players typically have Nightmare's number, but as we mentioned earlier, there are no Zerg players. Every Zerg player in this tournament has been eliminated. Only Protoss and Terran remain, which is ideal for Nightmare. He avoids his worst matchup, and this is just, yeah, the best conditions for Nightmare to go for a deep run and take it all. Can he go the distance though? Because even though, like, he thrives against Protoss and against Terran, he still has formidable opponents. You know, that previous PvP was not the easiest game for Nightmare, and ClanKy can easily force an ace match. And here we go. 2-gate opener all around. Second pylon is thrown down in the main, so we're not trying to fake out a proxy. Neither one of our players are. And ClanKy opening up double Stalker, Nightmare, double Adept. Double Adept is on the way. ClanKy is setting up. Meanwhile, big shout out to Kashim. Shema. Big shout out to Kashim in the chat. Of course, he was also working the event, working IM. Apparently has made it back home just in time, of course, to tune into some ESL Open Cup Asia and maybe even some Europe later on in the evening. Ooh, interesting, as Nightmare is going for a Robo. This is looking like a one base all in. Robo opener here out of Nightmare. Classic applying some pressure here with these Stalkers. It has been very popular here in Korea to go for a 3-gate Robo one base all in. I'm waiting for the third gateway. Right now, Nightmare, he is trying to deal with these first couple of units. We trade a Stalker for Stalker. Classic coming out ahead. He does shoot first. And Classic, he will shut down that Stalker of Nightmare. It will barely fall. Reinforcements are on the way. They come out just in time. That was a better trade for Classic. Classic going to be expanding here back at home on the low ground. Again, 2-gate opener into expansion into a defensive Robo. Nightmare goes for his own Nexus. He's expanding. Okay. So, similar builds here. Nightmare, he goes for a Robo into expand. Classic goes for an expand into Robo. Adepts do shade into the main base, disrupting the economy. So, Classic will have the slightly better economy. Nightmare will have the faster immortal production. There it is. Prism is on the way. Nightmare can soon move out. Classic going to be chilling back at home. Classic does have the larger army. Plenty of Stalkers, plenty of Sentries. Again, the power of a Sentry opener is the hallucination. And with these hallucinations, Classic is going to confirm the expansion. Confirm the lack of all-in from Nightmare. Classic will be safe to probe up to saturate his bases. Comes in, Robo has been seen, expansion has been confirmed, Classic sees all. Classic did not see, though, that we are taking up even further. Nightmare, instead of throwing down additional gateways, Classic doesn't quite see Twilight Council's on the way. Moving up towards Blink. Meanwhile, Nightmare being a little bit bold, moving out with a Immortal drop. Immortal and a handful of Stalkers. Dips into the main base, Stalkers are in position. Good volleys on that Prism. Boys are being pulled. One worker does fall. As long as Nightmare doesn't lose any units here, this will be worth it. Speaking of, Prism does escape, only taking shield damage. Phew. Prism does make it out. Likewise, Classic going for his own War Prism harass. This time, though, not with Stalkers, but with Adepts. And 2 Adepts, 1-shot probes. This is deadly here to the economy of Nightmare. Nightmare has to be careful. And here we go. Adepts do shade into that main base. Oof. 1 probe does go down. A lot of lost mine time as well. At the same time, Nightmare trying to set up here across the map, but he is denied. Adepts shade towards the natural. Prism threatens the main base as well. Classic trying to pull Nightmare apart. Trying to pull him apart, and he is getting damage done. Probes are falling. The Prism going for another big warp in, and the warp in will finish. 4 Adepts in the main base, more workers going down. Eventually, we will clean this up, but how much damage will be dealt? As we do force a recall. We do force a recall in the end. Nightmare down 1 probe compared to Classic. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. 8 probes did fall. Shows how far ahead Nightmare was in that worker count. Now he's down 3 probes, but he is pushing. Quickly checking, Blink is done. Blink just started. Remember, Nightmare, he was very tech heavy early on. He got a very fast Twilight Council, very fast Blink. That means that Nightmare's army is very high quality here. We have a lot of potential to micro, a lot of potential to control. Nightmare, he's moving out across the map towards the natural base, and can Classic keep up? What do we have? 2 Immortals. 1 in the natural, 1 in the main base. Classic consolidating his army, getting ready for the shade. Nightmare, he does push in. Throws down the force fields, collapses here on those sentries. Overcharges popped. Force fields making things awkward here for Nightmare to engage. Likewise, the Immortals are zoned away. They can barely fight. A much better trade here for Nightmare. As I say that, did lose the Stalker. Did lose a couple of extra Stalkers. And he is being forced back. Yeah, the positioning is just too strong. Classic, he will hold, and Nightmare has to retreat. Going for the Immortal drop. Blink still is not done for Classic. Can maybe pick off a couple of units, getting some hull damage done. Speaking of Nightmare, oh my god, a little bit of miscontrol there. It does take a lot of damage on that Immortal. Or a little bit, I say miscontrol. Just a little bit risky play there from Nightmare. Almost does lose it. Flying very close to the sun. Almost got burned there. I'm just worried that wasn't worth it because that Immortal is now so fragile to those Stalkers. He's coming back in. Shields are triggered. He gets a Stalker. Gets 2 Stalkers. Up! Blink is now done though. The Prism in a lot of trouble and a lot of hurts. Forced to recall. The Prism goes down. The Immortal as well. And yeah, Nightmare, he was just too greedy. Far too greedy there. He got 2 Stalkers for a Prism and an Immortal. Not worth it. Not worth it whatsoever. But Nightmare, he has been building up more Immortals. He's down low in the Immortal count. Classic moves out. Loses his own Warp Prism. Oh my god. Ay, ay, ay. Both players do lose their Warp Prisms. Good catch at Nightmare. Third base is on the way. Third base just starting here for Nightmare. Classics is about to finish. The pressure is on Nightmare. Classic rebuilding his 3rd Warp Prism. He can blink into the main. Yeah, he does dive into the main base. Focuses down one of those pylons. Another pylon is exposed. Ooh, the blink though is being punished. A lot of Stalkers going down. Yeah, that wasn't quite worth it for Classic. Gets a pylon but loses, what was that? 4, almost 5 Stalkers. Ooh. Yeah, brutal loss. Forced to recall. Adepts make their way into that natural base. Necessary damage here from Nightmare. Remember, he is very late when it comes to his 3rd base, so Nightmare, he's falling behind further and further in the worker count. So we gotta go. We gotta push. Our goal here is to either kill the 3rd or kill our opponent. So Nightmare is ahead in armor supply. Oh, we have 4 Immortals versus 4 Immortals. Decent force fields. The Immortals, they are engaging. Good juggling here from Classic. The boys are being pulled. They're going to be soaking so much damage here for Classic. Does focus down an Immortal. Will be losing some of his own though. Classic bleeding out a lot of units here. And Nightmare, he may just have too much. Remember, he was up 10 army supply here for the fight. The Prism does survive, tanks some damage. Delta coming in. The Immortals, they survive. One of them barely does. But the Zealots, they force back the army. Just barely. The Immortal. The final Immortal goes down. Prism out of position. And Classic holds. But that wasn't the most cleanest of holds here. Both players lost all their Immortals, and Classic did pull the boys. He lost his worker lead. The worker advantage that Classic once had is now in favor of Nightmare. So Nightmare, he's ahead in workers, ahead in Stalkers. The Prism did survive, making its way into the main. Likewise, Classic going for his own counterattack as well. One Zealot into the main base. Meanwhile, Adepts a shade into the main of Classic. Workers are going down. A surprising amount of damage. Oh my god. At the same time, you can see how efficiently Zealots can trade with charge. Blink Stalkers can struggle here. And we're waiting for our own charge. Charge is still on the way for Nightmare. Temple Archives as well. Without charge, Nightmare can't push in. He cannot touch this army. The Zealots do amazingly tanking Stalker shots as well as Immortals. That's why Zealots are a really big part, a big cornerstone here of mid-game PvP. As Classic is pushing. The Adepts are doing so much damage across the map. They shade into the natural. Good target firing here. More probes are going down. And Classic is all in. Classic is completely all in with this, but he's pushing into charge slots. And into so many shield batteries. We have 3 shield batteries at the 3rd base. Overcharge. 2nd shield battery finishing up here at the natural. Archons are morphed in. That's what's important. Archons, they do trump Zealots. as Zealots are prone to stacking and Archons that do so much splash damage. Nightmare, he has the higher form of tech. He's up in army supply. We spoke about it before. Nightmare, he has the best PvP in South Korea. And Nightmare, he's looking to take this series, looking to collapse on this army. Takes down the Prism, takes down the Zealots. And Nightmare, he's snowballing out of control. GG gets called. Nightmare will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Nightmare does it again. I would say that Classic is the stronger, well-rounded player. Classic, he has a better PvZ, arguably better PvT as well. But in the PvP matchup, this is where Nightmare does thrive. This is where he isn't afraid of anyone else in South Korea, maybe even in general. We can talk about Max Packs another time in the European Cups. But yeah, Nightmare, he has no fear. He takes down Classic 2-0. And with that, Nightmare advances on to the grand finals. GG, well played. He will make it to those grand finals where, does he have an opponent ready and waiting? That is the real question. Does he have an opponent here? Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves. We did get some updates earlier as we switch our scenes over and have a look at the bracket. Of course, from the top, Classic did fall to Nightmare here. Nightmare advances on to the grand finals. And scrolling down to the lower half, we have Creator. Oh my god, Creator. He stumbled a little bit against Nice. Did drop a map, but Creator, he takes down Oliveira. This is what we spoke about. Oliveira may have been a part of IEM. That is true. Oliveira did race back home. For those who don't know, Oliveira, he left Poland early. He left early. He wasn't there for the final day. He did come back home. And he came back home to compete, of course. Clearly, solely to compete in ESL Open Cup Asia. But he gets knocked out in the semifinals. Creator does stop him, stands in his way. And we will have a PvP finals between Nightmare and Creator. And we just spoke about it. This could be Nightmare's tournament because Nightmare has the best PvP in Korea. He just toured Classic. And I'm sure he's more than happy to face off against Creator in another PvP. Oh boy. Here we go. Now, to be fair, again, even though I would say that Nightmare is favored, that's like saying he has a 60 to 65% chance of winning this. Creator, alongside Classic and Hero, there are no slouches in PvP. They take maps, they take series, they go back and forth with Nightmare. And this is by no means a sure thing for Nightmare. He has a good chance, don't get me wrong, but again, Creator is still a terrifying opponent. And I need to message him. Hold on. Here we go. Just figuring some stuff out here as we set up for the grand finals. For those that are curious, the grand finals is going to be a best of 5, not a best of 3, so we're going to have a bit of a longer series before us. We'll have a longer series. Also, I'm very happy that we chose to race back home and cast this tournament as well, because there's no other casters. We don't even have Inu. Inu's not here, so no Korean coverage. Chicken Man, you know, it does depend whether he's able to you know, wake up early in time, as this is a rough time zone for him. Is a rough time zone for him, so if we weren't here, there would be zero coverage. There would be zero coverage here for ESL Open Cup Asia, so thankfully we were here in time. And for those that are curious, we will also be casting ESL Open Cup Europe in a couple of hours as well. I say a couple of hours, it's in like 6 hours time. So thankfully we're going to have a time for a nap. We're going to be able to rest a little bit for ESL Open Cup Europe, but we will be there for it. We won't be there for ESL Open Cup. We won't be there for ESL Open Cup Americas, unfortunately. ESL Open Cup Americas, that is going to be a little bit rough for our time zone here in Poland. But regardless, the show must go on. StarCraft is to be had. Another final PvP for the night. Let's go. Here we go. Camera broken? Oh, it's broken, Bobby. No. I don't have a camera set up here as I'm traveling. But that may change. That may change in the future. We may be able to set something up. Tis possible. Meanwhile, speaking of setting things up, we'll need a moment. We'll need a moment here to set up the predictions. Predictions are going to be open in the chat, so you can place your bets on who you believe will be this week's champion for ESL Open Cup Asia 214. Will it be one South Korean Protoss or the other? They're not quite the same. They have different play styles and different approaches here to the matchup. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat, as I will get on that. You can hear the beeps. Vetoes are done. We're diving into game number 1. Let's go. Creator. Nightmare. Okay. So, if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think is going to be this week's champion. You have 2 minutes, around 2 minutes or so upon hearing this message to place your bets, so get them in while they are hot. And again, this is going to be a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a coin flip, but it's going to be a difficult prediction to make. We were praising one player for having the best PvP in Korea. That is true, but again, no one has a 100% win rate completely, and this can still be a back and forth. I want to believe that we can get a more dynamic matchup than what we had in the semifinals, but here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione. We have the red Protoss player representing Club NV. It is Creator. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss. Thought by many to have the best PvP in South Korea. He just 2-0'd Classic. It is Nightmare. This is it. This is his matchup. This is his time to shine. Likewise, Creator. Fun fact, just came back from a bit of a holiday. If you follow Creator on Instagram, you would have seen that Creator, he went to Japan over the weekend. As IEM Katowice was going on, Creator, he did take a flight over to Japan, was enjoying himself, and I was asking him because I wasn't sure. I was like, "Are you playing from Japan right now? Are you in Japon, Bobby?" But Creator, he did let me know that he just got back to Korea. I believe a couple of hours ago, he did return to Korea just in time for the ESL Open Cup. So he's back at home, back at his regular setup, ready to duke it out here in this tournament. And I mean, he 2-0'd Oliveira. Very impressive here by Creator. Arguably taking down the strongest player or the favorite player in this tournament. Ooh, as the probe does fall. Now, Creator did go for a 2-gate opener, so did Nightmare. Both pylons have been thrown down. No one is going for a proxy, or no one is faking a proxy pylon. And we have double Adept from Nightmare. We have double Stalker from Creator. So, Nightmare is going to be the aggressor. He's going to be shading across the map, looking for economic damage. Meanwhile, Creator, he's going to be building up a more robust army. Stalkers in a head-to-head fight, they can and will kill Adepts if they can keep up. Here we go, Adepts are shading across the map. Now we can see that we only made 2. Some Protoss players like to invest and make 4, 6, even up to 8 Adepts. Here we only have 2, getting into Stalker production thereafter. Stalker production on the way. Raider setting up here. in his own main base, following up with double sentry. Very safe opener here out of Creator. With double sentry, the power here is we have shield batteries, sure, shield batteries. We have force fields, sure, but more importantly, we have hallucinations. Hallucinations are very important in PvP. We can see both Creator and Nightmare investing in these sentries. With these hallucinations, we can confirm whether or not we're going all in, what kind of tech we're going for. Stargate openers, Robo openers, Twilight Councils, DTs, Dark Shrine. All these things need to be scouted, which is why sentries are, again, so much so a bit of the the bread and butter. That's it, the bread and butter of PvP for the most part. Very commonplace. As Nightmare, he does shade into the main base. Oh, the wall is not a wall. The wall was wide open. We do scout. We do confirm the tech. We get eyes on the Twilight Council. Adepts go down, but that is four probe kills. An insane amount of damage is dealt. Meanwhile, Creator did get across the map. He was able to confirm of course, the tech, the opener, the 2 gateways, and the Nexus as well. I believe we didn't see the Twilight Council. We did not. So Creator, he's not aware of the opener of Nightmare, of the opening tech choice, but he is aware of the expansion, so he knows he's not being all in. So Creator should be feeling safe overall. You can see he's getting in position to deny any other future hallucination scouts, but Nightmare doesn't need to go for one because he did already confirm the Twilight Council. He can delay it, is now being sent out. We'll see if he can avoid the units here of Creator. He has to confirm whether Blink is being researched or whether there's a Dark Shrine. And how many gateways. There's a lot to scout. And he comes in! Creator, slightly out of position here, does move out, which means Hallucination is able to confirm everything. Does see the researching Twilight Council. Third base on the way for Nightmare, third base on the way for Creator. The armies do avoid each other here in the center, as Nightmare does retreat. And Creator does push. Does move out. Behind this, we're going for a Robo Forge. Very tech heavy here for Creator. He's working towards a longer game, towards eventually +1. Nightmare going for a slightly later Forge, but overall both players are headed in the same direction. I would say that Creator has certain advantages, of course, with the faster third and the faster Forge, but he does have a worker deficit because of all those dead workers earlier, because of the Adept harass. Speaking of, Adepts do shade in, but they're not going to get much done. They kill maybe 1 probe, 2 probes go down. Okay damage. Okay damage here from Creator. Meanwhile, a big shout out to, of course, Thriving GG. Papi. Oh. Big shout out to Thriving GG in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you enjoyed the weekend of IEM Katowice. It was a beautiful tournament. I was lucky enough to be there live. I was in the crowd. Ooh. I was even able to get some gifts as well. If you happen to be following on Twitter or even in Discord, then you'd see like the jersey that I got, or I say the jersey, the shirt that I got, and you know, I shout out to the admin team, shout out to the ESL admins for the gift that I got at the end of the event. I was not expecting it. I was not expecting it, but I do appreciate it. I'm gonna have to frame it. That's the thing. When I get back home to Australia, I do have to invest into like a frame. I do have to take care of it. It's definitely valuable memorabilia and a great way to remember my first Premier tournament. So I have to take care of it. But a big shout out to Thriving GG. Behind this, 4th bases are on the way for both players, and we're settling into a longer game. Not much aggression here. Everyone's taking up into charge, into +1, into eventually Archon production. We are working towards those later stages. We do see Creator just vying for map control, fighting for the Zonaga. I mean, both players are. This Creator is going to be pulling back. And we are just, heading in towards a solid 4-base economy here. The most passive PvP that we've had so far, but it makes sense on Alcyone. Again, this map does favor longer macro play. I'm sure on some of the smaller maps we would have more aggression. But right now we're just building up towards a longer and longer game. No one has teched up towards Archons yet, I believe. Yeah, no Templar Archives from either player yet. We should be seeing one soon. For now, we're sticking to mainly a gateway-centric army. Stalkers do keep up with each other. Charge is revealed. Both players do have it. And Nightmare will pull back. Waiting for his Warp Prism. Waiting for +2. +2 is neck and neck for both players. And there it is! Templar Archives. Finally on the way for Nightmare. We should soon be seeing it from Creator as well. For the time being, he is avoiding it. Going for a big warp in of Zealots. Is moving out Nightmare. He does see the army. Did have the Zonaga. And he's preparing back at home. Has his own Zealot reinforcements. We are seconds away from that Templar Archive. Seconds away from Archons. As Nightmare takes a 5th. Attempting to harass is forced back by Creator. Army sizes are comparable. Creator does have a higher army size overall, but Nightmare has the defender's advantage. He has a shield battery, he has overcharge, and he has Archons. Archon. He only has one, which is concerning. That's a lot of Zealots. A lot of Zealots for only one Archon. As it is being dragged away, we do force a recall. Prism does come back. Overcharge is forced. And the overcharge is about to run out. Uh-oh. It is about to run out here. Second Archon's on the way. Nice snipe there on the Prism. Prism goes down. Good target firing here on that Archon. Archon does fall as well. And a lot of these Zealots, a lot of these Stalkers are exposed to the Zealots. Nightmare being forced back. But on the left-hand side, he does come out on top. He collapses here on top of the Immortals. The Blinks, they avoid. They do expose the Immortals. They do go down. Creator losing a lot in the retreat. Again, the defender's advantage was just too strong. With those warp-ins, with the overcharge. Creator reinforcing with more Stalkers. Both players working towards second Robos and Robotics Bays Disruptors. Both players, they want to head towards Disruptor production. Nightmare does have that base over his opponent. Nightmare, he is ahead in army supply. He is moving out. Doesn't quite commit. Yes, it looks like we're just waiting for Disruptors to come into play. Nightmare about to max out as well. He should be pushing, he should be flexing his army supply lead. If he doesn't, then Creator will recover. He will recover with his +3 on the horizon. Disruptors also on the way. This is still anyone's game. I would say that Nightmare is ahead, that is true, but this is not insurmountable for Creator. Go base has been spotted. Go away should be cancelled. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel. 400 minerals down the drain. Big pick off there for Nightmare. A big pick off for Creator to get that Nexus. Nightmare does take a big blow. Trying to retake that gold. Teller on my left-hand side. Nightmare going to be responding with his own Zealots. Creator has maxed out, and Creator has his own Disruptors. They have arrived. Both armies are maxed. Now, because Nightmare has a better economy, he will have a larger bank to work with, that is true. But Creator has a larger army supply, as he has less workers. So there's a bit of a give and take. Creator could maybe take a better fight overall. But the reality is this is going to come down to the Disruptors. We have 4v4. 4 Disruptors for both players, for both Creator and Nightmare. How good are the Novas going to be? Oh. Speaking of, first Nova goes off. We force out a Blink. Blink is forced. Another Nova will connect on a Disruptor. Good trade so far here by Nightmare. No, that never connects with the Stalkers. Overall, Nightmare trading better here with his army. Zealot's going to be clashing towards top left. Bit of a fumbled Nova there from Creator. Doesn't connect with much. So both players will zone each other away. Oh, Big Nova will not connect from Creator either, who will lose another Disruptor. Again, overall, Nightmare just taking better fights. But is it going to be enough? Creator, he does evacuate. He gives up on the base. He knows he just traded too poorly. And he will lose this Nexus. DT comes in. Uh-oh. You have a Dark Shrine. Oh! The Nova does overshoot. Doesn't connect. Nightmare will pull back. Observers are on the way. DT forces back the main army. And we do see Creator throwing down a Stargate. We are getting ready for potentially Sky Toss, the late game. Before that happens, Nightmare, he gets into the main D-powers for these gateways, and these Zealots are getting out of hand. Yes, there is a DT, but it's going to take a long time to clean all this up. Damage is being dealt. Top left, Zealots, they're wreaking havoc here on top of that Nexus, and at the same time, Creator, he gets deflected. Tries to go for his own run-by. Can maybe take down the gold? Looks like he will defend his own Nexus. The main Stalker army forced back. Fleet Beacon on the way for Nightmare. He's working towards Sky Toss. So is Creator. He's trying to, but so much was... Oh my god! The Zealots... We're going for a big warping into the main base. DT is alongside Zealots, and we keep everything depowered. Nightmare one step ahead. Crippling the production, the economy, and ahead in the tech. Soon to be in the army quality as well. In his overall composition, moves out across the map, going straight for the Nexus. Oof. Big connections here with these Disruptors. Oh, the Blinks! We do avoid the Novas, but the base goes down. Nightmare backing off, rotating around. Oh my god, it's still depowered in the main. DT's going ham. A little bit too much chaos is ensuing. Again, Nightmare, he's in his element. Takes down the Observers. Disruptors are pushing forward. Oh, Novas go off. Not quite connecting. Big Zealot counterattack. We are just containing Creator here onto 4 bases. He cannot expand. Ooh, oh my god, that was clutch. Very close blink there from Nightmare. Now, Creator, he will kill 15 probes. He will deny mining here at the gold base. He does deal some economic damage. Zoning back the army. Ooh, big connection. Disruptors are going down. Good target firing here out of Nightmare. He shuts down every single Disruptor. And not a single Nova connects. And Nightmare, he's just dominating this fight. Dominating this mid to late game, to be honest. And he never needed a Sky Toss. Again, he's got Stargates, he has Fleet Beacons, but he does not need it. And Zealots coming in for a flank. Creator, he can take a fight. He can take a better fight here. Novas are just constantly going up, constantly connecting here on these Stalkers. And Nightmare, he will clean this up. GG gets called. Nightmare takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Again, Nightmare just with a better economy, with better engagements overall, able to be assertive, able to just flex his Disruptors. And again, he was even ready for a longer game. Remember, he already had 3 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon. He was ready for the Sky Toss transition if he needed it, but he didn't. Didn't even need it. GG, well played. Nightmare, he takes game number 1. But that was only game 1. And as I did mention earlier, Alcyone lends to these longer, later games. Some of these smaller maps, we should be seeing a more chaotic game here, a more chaotic series, a more aggressive game 2 onwards. Oh boy. Here we go. Meanwhile, big shout in the chat to Rodin18. Oh my god. Bappy. Here we go. Big shout out to Rodin18 in the chat for resubscribing for 4 months. Thank you, Papi. Thank you so much for resubscribing. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Gracias, Papi. Gracias. I'm catching him in the chat. Rayro in the chat. You're still in Katowice. Your dedication is astonishing. Much appreciation. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm still in Katowice. Well, still technically in Poland. I'm next to Katowice, technically. In Poland. Always casting, Papi. Always. But we're getting into game number 2 here and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardled of the grand finals of ESL Open Cup Asia 214. We have our red Protoss representing Club NV down in this series, but it's merely game 2. Still plenty of opportunities to come back. Let's get into it. It is Creator. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, but arguably with the best PvP in all of South Korea. It is Nightmare. Leading the series 1-0. Again, best of 5, plenty more games are ahead of us. See in the chat, do you play or do you just do replays? Sometimes we do replay casts, but this event is live. This is a live broadcast. We do mostly live events. We only cover replays if we can't cast something live. So something like ESL Open Cup Americas, we cast ESL Asia live, ESL Europe live, but Americas we most likely won't cast live, so we'll do that by replays. Likewise, we always used to cast KSL live, the Korean StarCraft League, but because I'm currently in Poland, I will most likely be covering KSL by replays as well, as it's just not the best time to cover live here in Europe. So we'll be most likely having a replay cast for that, for example. But mostly live. Not frozen, merely a snapshot of light at his lightest. Yes, exactly, exactly. Esther Thorn in the chat. You're exposing yourself, Bappy. Aye, aye, aye. If you haven't noticed that I've been frozen, that means you haven't been watching for the past 2 weeks. So I've been casting for the past 2 weeks here in Poland, and unfortunately, I do not have a working webcam at the moment. I will try to get that going though, and once I do, then we can get cams going once again, and I won't have to rely on this lovely image that was provided to me by some fans in the chat. I was given a screenshot and may as well use it. May as well use it. It's beautiful, Papi. I'm so happy. I like it. I like the casting. Aye, aye, aye. As we're settling into this, and we are, of course, expanding. Going to be 2 gate openers into expand. No 1 base all-ins. Shield batteries are on the way. And we have our tech of choice. Interesting. So we do have a Stargate opener out of Creator. The Probe Scout does confirm the Stargate. Meanwhile, Nightmare going for a Twilight Council opener. The Hallucination does confirm the Twilight Council. So a standard opener out of Nightmare is going for Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, Creator is looking for economic damage. The purpose of the Stargate is typically for Oracles in this matchup. Oracles are designed to get into mineral lines, to cripple the economy, to give you an economic edge here in this mirror matchup, in this PvP. Now, the downside, late blink. The quality of the army, the quality of the Stalkers are going to be worse as a result for a little bit. There's going to be a period, a window, where Nightmare has blink and Creator doesn't. Creator has to be very careful with these Oracles. He has to preserve them. He has to, of course, gain value with them. If he loses them too soon, that will trigger a counterattack. These Oracles, they don't just represent potential economic damage, but they also force Nightmare to keep supplying his mineral lines. Ooh, as Creator, interesting. Okay, so typically, the Hallucination Scout does come in, but we have a proxy and it is not scouted. So I was going to say that usually when you go for a Stargate opener, you invest into multiple Oracles. The reason for this is that 1 shield battery keeps your mineral line safe against 1 Oracle, not against 2. As you can out DPS the energy, the recovery of a shield battery. So we skip the second Oracle for a proxy Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine is on the way. Hallucination Scout does confirm that there was no research on the Twilight Council. That's a little bit suspect. But Nightmare, no detection. No Robo, no Stargate, no Forge. The longer this goes on without any form of detection, this could just be game. This could just be game over. Nightmare is going for a proxy gateway. He's not making a Robo. There's no reason to throw down a Robo because he's going to commit here with a gateway to reinforce, not with a Prism. The game may... Oh, he comes across it! No! He does come across the Dark Shrine! It's gonna be going down. It looks like it will barely finish. We can maybe warp in one wave of DTs. DTs are on the way, but we do come across this. And a Robo is in production. And I love it. You can see Nightmare, he's throwing down pylons. He's walling off. He's reducing surface area. He's keeping this Robo alive. He comes in with some sentries. DTs will not get on top of this. Not anymore. Good read here at a Nightmare. DT is waddling in, but there's only one. And again, one DT cannot depower, cannot shut down this building. Good hold position micro as well. No way in. We have a shield battery. We have blink. We do hold. Oh, the force field as well. We're locking the DT in. We have the overcharge. We get us around. We force a recall as well on the Dark Templar. And now Nightmare, he has a lot of momentum going his way. Blink is so heavily delayed here for Creator. He's working on a third base, but Nightmare is going for a counterattack. He's pushing. Third base is on the way. We are moving out. And looking at the army size here, we have 18 Stalkers at the 12 of Creator. We do have a Stasis Trap though. The Stasis could come in clutch if we go close enough. Overcharge is popped. Good force fields here from both players, from Nightmare as well, locking down some of these units. Yeah, trying to get out of range of that shield battery. Overcharge is running out, and there's just too many Stalkers here, and too much damage done to the base, and the Nexus is going to go down. The boys are being pulled. The boys are being pulled, and it looks like Creator is going to be able to hold on, not without losing 8 probes. Forcing back Nightmare. As Creator, he holds, but not without a price. Behind this, Nightmare, of course, building up, getting into more of his economy, getting into more probes. As Nightmare is going to be building himself up as well. And the game is going to settle from here. Again, Creator, he was up against the ropes. Thankfully, he does survive. He does catch up when it comes to his own blink timing. We'll shut down the proxy. And we have to take a moment here to take stock. Okay, so both players are on 3 bases. Creator, he does hold on to the Nexus. That's important. The Nexus does survive. He does actually spend some of that energy to keep it alive as well. He does maintain a slight worker lead, ahead 5 workers compared to his opponent. Ooh, meanwhile, Nightmare moving out across the map, going for a blink into the main. Thinks about it, but is spotted. We'll pull back. Will pull back. And we are taking up in towards charge. No charge for Creator, but likewise, no upgrades, no +1 for Nightmare. Nightmare, no Forge, no +1. As the game goes on, Creator will have a higher quality army. Creator can outscale Nightmare. Once +1 kicks in, 4th base on the way as well. Again, Nightmare not really thinking that far ahead. Is working on a 4th, but no Forge. No Forge as a single DT does slip in towards the main base. Probes are going down. We get 5 workers so far. Only 5 as DTs are being cleaned up. But Nightmare evening up the worker counts, or just trying to stifle the lead that Creator has. Nightmare does pull back. Now he does get into his own forge, into his own +1. Prism is still alive, by the way, and we get another DT warping into the main base. There is a cannon, but with enough Dark Temple, with enough Zealots, we could try and collapse on top of that cannon. It looks like we are going for it. Oh, the surround! Good hold position there from Creator. Does get a surround on the cannon, but it looks like it may still go down. It's going to be close. Oh, it does fall. But we have detection. That was an expensive loss for Nightmare. 3 DTs and 3 Zealots for 1 cannon and 2 probes, and the cannon is being rebuilt. Prism still alive. Nightmare pulls back. Getting his 4th on the way. Now, Creator will have +1 kicking in. He could try to make use of this window. Not the largest of windows, but I appreciate that he just starts up +2 immediately. Does chrono it out. Does see the value in those upgrades. Working on, for the time being, just a purely gateway-based composition. Blink is on the way here for Nightmare. Love to see it. Blink in production. Creator moving out on the right-hand side. And it looks like we may be in for a bit of a longer one here. I mean, sure, the early to mid game was very chaotic, which is what we expected at a hard lead, but the game is settling. The game is settling down. 4th base, now 5th base is on the way here for our players. We may find ourselves in another Disruptor versus Disruptor game 2, which I'm all for. It was great to see it in game number 1. Temple Archives on the way for Archon production. DTs, of course, can be morphed into Archons as well. Prism still outside the main. Still lurking. DT's pushing through the center. Creator, though, he is taking a more defensive stance. He isn't moving out. He's in position to deal with those DTs. Second Robo, the Bay is on the way. Disruptor production is on the horizon for Creator. Bay is now on the way for Nightmare. Disruptor production also on the way for our blue Protoss. So we are getting some Disruptor versus Disruptor, some ball-on-ball action. What we love to see in PvP, of course. We already saw it once. We're going to see it again. Now, we did see Nightmare with an economic advantage in game 1, and he has it again here in game number 2. Where Nightmare, he actually invests into additional saturation, up to 73 probes. Oh, the Prism is going to go down for Creator. Rough loss for the Red Protoss. Is moving forward. We do see a big Zealot counterattack on the right-hand side. Do we force a recall? Do we have enough to defend? Yeah, Archon is on the way. Shield battery overcharge is popped. It looks like we will sort away those Zealots. Creator, he's holding. He's getting into Colossus. Okay. Gonna be mixing it up, going Colossus and Disruptor. Now, Colossi are an alternate way to deal with Zealots. Just like Archons, they can do amazingly. Meanwhile, the Zealots, they catch an Immortal. Big pick off. Immortal goes down. Nova goes off. Disruptor has been scouted. And Colossi can trade well against Gateway units, not against other Disruptors though, as we do get a surround and one Disruptor goes down. Big pick off there for Nightmare. Very nicely done. Able to trade well. You see his main army rotating on the right-hand side, looking at the vision of Creator. He does not see the movement, does have a Zealot on the right, but he didn't miss the main army. And Nightmare, he's going to be able to take down this base. Prism into the main. Prism does fall, but we get Zealots, a massive warp in into the main base, and we're going for a base trade. We're going for an all-out base trade here. Next side going to be falling, and Nightmare can always recall. He can always recall back home. Creator, he has arrived. And we're committing. We are committing to the base trade. 20 probes go down. The Zealots, they just went ham, and Nightmare, he just keeps on pushing. He finds the production. No shot. Robo goes down. The Bay as well. Big pickoffs here from Nightmare. And Creator, he's backing off. He's turning back around. Kills one Nexus. He's going to take down the center base. But it looks like Creator, he's not actually committing here into the natural. Disruptors have arrived. He's not looking. He's not looking. Nova goes off. Big connection. And Creator's army supply does struggle as a result. I mean, comparable army size, to be fair. But another Disruptor goes down. Creator kills 2 bases, but he also loses 2 DTs. They come in. That's a kill, not a cancel. Creator does have detection with his main army. Snipes the Observer. And Creator is coming in for a surround. He forces a recall. Big catch from Creator overall. Does force a recall. Kills a lot of Stalkers. Nightmare has a slightly better economy. We're looking at the army size here. It's pretty close. We have 4 Disruptors. And we have 0 for Creator. He has a Colossus. I have to give the edge to Nightmare. Nightmare, he may be down in army supply, but these Disruptors, they pack such a massive punch. Is it enough, though? These 4 Disruptors, that's the lifeline that Nightmare has. Did I say 4? I meant to say 6. Jesus. Creator, he does see the Disruptors. He rotates around. Nova's going to be going off. Oh, we do graze some of those Stalkers. We connect with the Colossi, but these Disruptors are exposed. 1 Disruptor did go down. Another Nova does connect with those Zealots. Good connections. But the Disruptors are on cooldown. 1, 2 of them go down. 3 of them. There's 1 left. Only 1 left. And Creator, it looks like he has far too much. He's snowballing out of control. Not enough Novas here for Nightmare. We do have some DT harass across the map. Probes are going down. But this death ball of an army is just too much to handle. And Creator, it looks like he has done it. He collapses on the army, snipes another Disruptor. And Creator is going to be forcing a tied series. Is going to be putting a point on the board. He's snowballing out of control again. There's only Stalkers to stop him. That's not good enough. Not anymore. Creator even has the better upgrades with +1 armor. And Nightmare is being forced further and further back into that corner of the map. There is no escape. Not anymore. Stalkers going down. Zealots, they come in from behind, but we have Colossus to deal with that. And GG gets called. Creator, he ties up the series 1-1. We have it back and forth. GG. GG, well played. A very chaotic, a very back and forth game. We started things off with Dark Templar into almost a base trade, into just non-stop aggression. Once we got into, of course, the 4-base economy. And Creator, he was able to eventually outposition his opponent, get a surround. I do think the moment when Nightmare lost a lot of momentum was when he got surrounded on the right-hand side, when he did overstay his welcome, and he lost so many Stalkers as he tried to recall back home. Without those Stalkers, he has less to protect his Disruptors, of course, as well. He lost a lot of supply in that moment, and yeah, was forced back. And Creator ties it up 1-1. We're getting ready for game number 3. It's going to be on Equilibrium. Let's go. It's going to be on Equilibrium. Did I miss the notification? I did. Here we go. A big shout to Complete Noob in the chat for resubscribing with Twitch Prime for 6 months. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime, Complete Noob. We do appreciate the support as always, and I hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the streams. I mentioned before that we did go on a 4-day break, the longest break we've ever had ever since 2022. So we did take a 4-day break, and it's good to be back. It's good to return to our regular casting schedule. Let's go. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Equilibrium, we have our Red Protoss player representing Club NV, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is Creator. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Red Sorry, we have the blue Protoss representing himself, currently teamless, but referred to by many as having the best PvP in Korea. But stumbling a little bit here in these finals. Can he gather his footing? Can he get his footing here? Can he fight back? It is Nightmare. Here we go. So probes, they do pass by each other. We're loading into another larger map. I'm surprised this wasn't vetoed. Now, Equilibrium can be a really odd one. There's a lot of bases. A lot of bases to be taken. As a result, we have seen a lot of macro play. But in a PvP, these gold bases are very tempting. Very tempting gold bases. As a result, we have seen a lot of players try to rush into them. Players like Hero, players like Classic. They are more than willing to rush into a fast gold and try to go for a 2-base all-in from there. We'll see if Nightmare and Creator are one to embrace that as well. We shall see. As for now, we're just going to be scouting each other. Once again, no proxy pylon. Both pylons have been thrown down in the main base of both Nightmare and Creator. There's no cheese, no proxy, at least initially. All-ins are possible, but for now at least, they're not. For now, everything's on the up and up. We do have a double Adept opener out of Creator, double Stalker out of Nightmare. Sorry, other way around. Double Stalker out of Creator, double Adept out of Nightmare. My apologies. So Nightmare opening up aggressively once again. He did the same opener in the last game. Gonna be in the face of Creator. As Creator, he locks the probe in. And we'll be able to recall back home. Can we save the probe? Can we hide it? And we will not. As Creator's on the hunt, he does come across the probe, and he will shut it down. Probe does fall. Behind this, Nightmare going to be expanding. Creator, he goes for a delayed expansion. He's going for a Stargate first. Now, this is not all in. Again, he should still take his natural. The Stargate opener will lead towards Oracles. Remember, last game on Hard Lead, Creator opened up single Oracle into DTs. Here on Equilibrium, we should be seeing multiple Oracles. Should be. As you see, the first Oracle on the way. It's going to be an expansion into a Twilight Council, so a faster economy here for Nightmare into Blink. Pretty standard economic play here from him, as Adepts do move out across the map. Meanwhile, Creator threading a shade towards the main base. We do wall off in time. Good reaction so far here from Nightmare. Does wall off. Adepts are coming back home. Oh, we're trying to collapse on top of this army. Good positioning here from Nightmare. He does actually commit to the shade. Does focus down an Adept. Trading 1 for 1. Oh, trading 1. Doesn't lose his own though. A much better fight for Nightmare, but he does waste the force field. That is a little bit scary. So, because of that wasted force field, that means we have to wait a little bit longer before we can scout. Remember, we don't have enough energy for hallucination. We need a little bit more time. And Creator behind this, thankfully, isn't hiding any tech. But Nightmare doesn't know. Nightmare does not know. Did he scout the Stargate? He didn't. Uh-oh. Isn't even fully aware of the Stargate opener, but did come across that Oracle. So Nightmare is getting in position. He has a shield battery in the main base. Has Stalkers here at the natural. We are ready for the Oracle. Now, looking at the units tab here, of course, we do have two. Two Oracles are out for Creator. As we assumed, it would be double Oracle from our Protoss player. This time, no Dark Shrine. Here we go. This Creator is going to be building up. Third base on the way for Nightmare. Ooh, a couple of probes do go down to the Oracles, but we trade. Not a good trade for Creator. He will be losing an Oracle for 2 probes. Not a worthwhile trade here for our red Protoss. But behind this, we're working towards our third base. And we at least keep 1 Oracle alive. Has potential for stasis traps, for example. For revelations, for scouting. We can still gain value from this Oracle, but killing probes isn't really an option anymore as we have to recall. Oh my god. Nightmare, calm down. As he shoots his own Stalker for a moment. Back at home, Pylon on the way, additional gateways. Next side being thrown down. And we may be in for another long one. I mean, again, Equilibrium leads towards that. Because the goal bases weren't prioritized, because of how large this map is, we could get into our 3rd game in a row, Disruptor versus Disruptor. It's really interesting to see how these two face off, and it makes sense. I do refer to Creator as the Korean Showtime. Not as extreme as Showtime when it comes to how defensive he is, but Creator is the most passive and defensive and macro-oriented Protoss in the Korean region, period. Like, Hero and Classic are much more aggressive, so is Nightmare. They're all just a lot more active and in your face. Creator, he's a little more chill and calm. That is reflected in a lot of his matchups. Meanwhile, he does find his way across the map, does blink into the main. Is going for that blink. We have a gateway explosion on the way. Nightmare in position with only a handful of Stalkers. And Nightmare, he has to rotate all the way back to his main base. The Forge is going to be denied. Big pick off. Forge goes down, +1. Of course, has to be rebuilt. Oh, Nightmare. Key Knight is out of Nightmare. He does avoid that stasis trap, but at the same time, Adept saves do shade into the third base. Probes are going down. Nightmare still maintains a worker lead, but not as large as it once was. Creator rotating towards the natural. Does rotate over. Nightmare catches out a couple of Stalkers. Good blinks out of Creator. Does save most, not all. Yes, Nightmare, he's on the hunt. He wants to chase Creator down. So many of these Stalkers are so low. One of us. 2 more Stalkers go down. Overall, better trades here for Nightmare. Losing 5 Stalkers to the 9 of Creator. Ay. Now, Creator does have a proxy gateway, so he's going to be committing. Late Forge here from Nightmare. It took a while to rebuild. But Creator's doubling down. He's up to 8 gateways already. 9 gateways even. Oh, sorry, 8 gates. Yeah, 9 gates. Is pushing forward, but into shield batteries into a would-be overcharge. Nightmare does force back the army. Creator rotates over towards the gold. Doesn't commit. And Creator, he will bleed out a lot of units. Yeah, Zealots go down, Stalkers as well. And with these Zealot reinforcements, I mean, Creator does have, I would say, a better army if it wasn't for these Archons. That's the problem here. Nightmare, he has 2 Archons here in the back line. Ready to engage. As I say, that good target firing out of Creator. Gets 1 Archon, gets the Immortal, gets a 2nd Archon as well, but he's bleeding out so many units. Nightmare, he's holding. With the defender's advantage, Nightmare, he's barely holding on, forces back the army of Creator. And Creator's pretty all in. He's pretty all in here. The slow lots are coming in for Nightmare. They're helping, to be fair. They're doing their job. Creator is being forced further and further back towards his reinforcement points. And Nightmare, the numbers, they don't lie, they're in his favor. Forces Creator back even further. More Archons being morphed in. Yeah, the Zealots, they're melting. And it looks like Nightmare has too much. He's got the goal base behind us. That's why Creator's all in. He needs to end the game here and now, but he just cannot. cannot break through. Charge is now done. And we're running out of Stalkers, running out of room, being forced further and further back. The reinforcement point is now compromised. But we ignore it. There we go. We chase down another Stalker. We collapse here on top of the gateway. And what does Creator have behind this? No additional gases here. He's stuck on 3 bases. He's on 9 gates. No Forge. No +1. He was 3 base all in. And barely did not work. It was close. He almost broke through. But Nightmare having the wherewithal to invest into Archons, to invest into that higher form of tech, did pay off. Not just that, the shield battery is the overcharge. He was ready for the assault. Nightmare, he weathered the storm. And now Creator, things are looking brutal. Things are looking rough for him. He does avoid the army. He does actually outposition Nightmare. He gets into the natural. But Nightmare is coming in from behind. Comes in from behind. Collapses here on these Stalkers. Gets what? 3, 4 Stalkers go down. GG gets called again. There's nothing left. And Nightmare will take a lead in the series. 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Nightmare able to survive the all-in from Creator and get away with so much. The 4th base, the gold, the saturation, the Templar Archives, the Archons, the +1 eventually. And with that, Nightmare, he is 1 game away. 1 game away from becoming this week's ESL Open Cup champion. Creator, he needs to fight back here and now to tie things up and to force the ace match. The pressure is on Creator. And Nightmare, he has a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of breathing room here. He can afford a map. Do we throw caution to the wind? Again, in this series, it's been very passive. We've seen a lot of like 3 base, even 4 base play between these 2 players. Now we're loading into Oceanborn. This is not a bad map for a 2 base all in, or even a 1 base all in. It's quite common, actually, quite common. It is quite common. So we'll see how our players do compare here. I did just mention Oceanborn is up next. Oceanborn has a very vulnerable natural and even 3rd base, which is why aggression is so commonplace on this. Short rush distance by ground as well. And we'll see. Again, if I was casting Classic or Hero, 100% 1 base all in. You know, we just commit. We send it back. We send it. But Creator and Nightmare, they've been going for more macro-oriented games, more mid-game, even mid to late game kind of scenarios here, or outlooks in this PvP. So I'm curious. I am curious what our plans are coming into this. Again, no more mistakes are possible for Creator. Winding it back, if you remember, his Stargate opener was lackluster. Remember, he committed to double Oracle. He killed 2 probes. Killed 2 probes with his double Oracle. It wasn't really worth it. It was a lot of investment into a Stargate that didn't really come to fruition. Likewise, of course, he did end up bleeding out a couple of units here, leading in towards the eventual 3 base all in. Did snipe the Forge, which was good, don't get me wrong. It was a beautiful moment when he sniped the Forge. Yeah, alas, the kill move just wasn't quite able to kill, right? Just wasn't able to take advantage of that situation. Was hoping to catch Nightmare being too greedy. Nightmare was being greedy, but got away with it. Got away with it in the end. And now here we go. We're getting into game number 4. Potentially the final game of the series. I would want this to keep going. I want a longer series. I want a back and forth. I want an ace match. It's not up to me. It's up to the players. It's up to Creator. And here he is spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our red Protoss player representing Club NV down in this series. He needs to win this game to force the ace match. Give it up for Creator. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing himself. He is teamless, but he deserves to be on a team. He has arguably the best the best PvP in South Korea. One game away from becoming our champion. It is Nightmare. Here we go. Okay, so as we load into Oceanborn, I did mention earlier, of course, that this is known for aggression. This is known for all-ins. We have seen a lot of short games on this map, but we'll see if that trend continues. We'll see if the trend does continue here. We'll see what our players have in store for us as we load in Under the Sea. Here we go. So for now, we are going for 2 gate openers. Double gate opener here out of Nightmare, double gateways out of Creator. Pylons are on the way. Are settling into this. Waiting for our first 2 units of choice, and they should be Adepts from Nightmare again. He's been going double Adept for quite some time, and there it is, double Adept at Nightmare, 3 games in a row. As to be expected, just committing here, just sticking to his guns. Meanwhile, we do see Creator going for something different, going for a Stalker Sentry opener. Okay, interesting. Very passive opener out of Creator, very defensive with this, of course. He gains a lot of scouting information with that initial sentry. It makes sense. So I spoke about the reputation of this map. I spoke about how very often we have all-ins on Oceanborn. That's why Creator is opening up with such an early sentry to scout. Unfortunately for Creator, Nightmare isn't really doing anything out of the norm yet. There's a pylon block here at the natural base though, forcing a different opener, and that is going to be a Robo. At the same time, Creator opening up with a 3rd gateway. Oh boy, Creator, he's setting up for an all-in. Nightmare, though, with that faster Robo, can set up defensively quite well with early Immortal production. We'll see if Nightmare commits. We'll see if we throw down a 3rd gateway as well, and we could be seeing a 1 base versus 1 base game. Nope. There we go. No 3rd gateway. We throw down a Nexus. Nightmare is going to be the defender. Creator is going to be the aggressor. Now, again, really good read here out of Nightmare, going for the faster Robo. Hallucination does confirm. So, Creator, he should be now aware of the Immortal production of Nightmare. But Creator, he already has a proxy pylon. He's already committing. There's no turning back. There is no turning back for Creator. 3rd gateway gets up and running. We can proxy a 4th gateway across the map. Stalkers are on the way. And Nightmare is still in the dark. He's applying pressure with some of these Stalkers. That does get the sentry. Uh-oh. Gets the sentry. Trades 1 for 1 with the Stalkers. And he will collapse on top of another Stalker as well. And it looks like Nightmare, he's barely breaking through. Snowballing out of control. Gets another Stalker as well. But here comes the main army of Creator. And Nightmare is supply blocked. No shot. He is supply blocked. The Robo not producing an Immortal. He has a Prism instead. He can juggle. Good control so far. Does recall back home. The Prism juggling coming in clutch, but he wasn't able to wall off. And we do get on top of the Nexus. Can we force a kill? There we go. Immortal is in production for Nightmare. The Shade gets in. Shade does get into the main base. The Adepts, they do commit. Nightmare focusing on the main assault instead, but Stalkers are going down. Creator, numbers are on his side. The juggling, looking decent here from Nightmare. But he's being overwhelmed. He's running out of Stalkers. Another Stalker goes down. Again, Creator, he is ahead in production. He has an overwhelming Stalker army, but here comes the Immortal. And the Immortal does force back the army. Creator, he's still 1 base all in, by the way. No expansion. And Nightmare, have we overextended? Oh my god! He moves up so far here onto the map with 3 units. The Prism goes down. He's going to be losing everything, but he does take down a lot of Stalkers in the process. Oh my god, the trades are insane. He kills 11 Stalkers, but he loses 9 of his own. 3 Stalkers do survive. Creator, he keeps on pushing, and we have reset the immortal count. We lost the Prism. Nightmare, he was assuming that Creator was transitioning. He was not aware of the all-in. It looks like Creator, he may have done it. Immortal does come out. Can Creator break through? Shield batteries on the way. We have sentries, we have force fields. It's going to be a tight defense here for Nightmare. Second immortal in production. We just need to keep on pumping out immortals. He still only has 2 gateways. Creator is expanding. Ooh, he's transitioning. He's getting out of the all-in. Nightmare is still not fully aware. He could go for hallucination. It's risky though. Like, do we go for hallucination at risk of not having a force field? And force fields are king in the early game just because there's no blink. Army has arrived. This time we do deny the shade into the main. Creator getting his base up and running, focusing on probe production. And there it is. Prism is moving out across the map for Nightmare. He's going to be scouting and he's going to be threatening the economy here of Creator. Creator rushing into a bay, working towards disruptors. Crazy. The Prisms will miss each other. Nightmare, he slips into the main base, gets eyes on the 3rd gateway, of course, which he already knew about. Tries to get behind the mineral line, and it looks like he will not scout that bay. He also doesn't confirm the Nexus. But he is making workers. He's producing probes. At depths, once again, they do get into the main base. They get a couple of probes. Oh, 4 probes go down. At the same time, Creator also slips into the main base of Nightmare. There is an immortal to defend. Nightmare doesn't take any damage, but Nightmare doesn't know that Creator is producing disruptors. Disruptors are coming out. And they can get Creator, of course, back into this. I mean, I say back into this, the game is stabilizing. The game is stabilizing. Pylon goes down. Pylon does fall. Twilight Council on the way for blink production, of course. Meanwhile, we have our disruptors. We have the Prism, and we should be going for disruptor drops. Ooh, that is a 4th gateway, by the way. So Creator, instead of throwing down a 3rd base, we are doubling down here on 2 bases. Did I say a 4th gateway? That's a 5th. That's a 5th gateway. This looks like a 2-base all-in at a Creator. From 1 base into a 2-base all-in. The aggression not stopping here for Creator. Nightmare doesn't know. He's going for his own immortal drop across the map instead. Meanwhile, Stalkers are in position. Prism comes in. Oh, is zoned away. We don't know what's in the Prism, but we at least force it back. Again, Nightmare still not scouting that bay. Still doesn't know. But now he does. Here we go. Big scout for Nightmare. Now is aware of the disruptors. And I feel like he needs to come back home. He's crippling the economy, but Creator, he was already all in. He was already all in anyway. He's pushing towards the natural base here of Nightmare. Looking at the army size, Creator does have the supply lead, but he's pushing into shield batteries, into overcharge. But we have disruptors and there's no blink. Nova does connect. Big Nova here in the army as well. Takes down sentries, takes down stalkers. But we have the overcharge. And again, without blink, force fields do so much. Oh, one adept does make it into the main. Would you commit? We do commit to the shade. Another Nova going off here. Blink is done. Blink finishes up just in time. Nightmare, he dives on top of the Immortal, dives on top of the army. And it looks like Nightmare, he will hold. He will clean this up. GG gets called. The all-in will fail, and Nightmare takes the series 3-1, flexing his PvP. Again, the best PvP in Korea. Nightmare does it. He is our ESL Open Cup Asia 214 champion. GG. GG, well played. I was concerned that because we didn't scout the robotics bay, I was concerned that that disruptor drop was going to get more damage done. But it did 0 damage. Nightmare didn't even know what was inside the prism, but he was in position, he zoned it away, and Creator, he wasn't able to make use of those disruptors as often as he would have liked. He used them in the main fight, but he could have used them earlier, but he was denied. As a result, Nightmare, he had a solid economy, he had a solid production, he was able to build up, able to take a solid defensive stance. Of course, forced the all-in, forced the attack when he was doing so much damage across the map, and the Novas weren't good enough. They were okay, don't get me wrong, they were okay Novas, but they just barely were not enough. Creator's economy was just too far behind, too crippled, and Nightmare was able to hold on, to weather the storm, and to defend. GG. GG, well played. GG, and oh, sorry, I should update the score. And again, it was also brutal just because Creator was so committed earlier. He wasn't really, again, he wasn't really ready for a longer game either because of the initial one base all in. So it's always difficult to transition out of that and to get into a longer game. Creator, of course, he made the decision not to go for a macro game. He made the decision to transition into a 2-base all in from there. And again, just was not able to work out in time, was scattered, was shut down. With that, GG, well played. And with that, congratulations. Congratulations to Nightmare, of course, for becoming our champion this week. Again, we mentioned it before, but this weekly was like designed for him. It was designed for him. Recently, he has been beating players like Hero and Classic quite consistently. I mean, he even beat Classic here in this tournament as well. I do see people posting in the chats, but again, like if you've been watching recent tournaments, you would know that Nightmare has been more dominant over Hero and Classic in recent times. And, I mean, yeah, was at least able to 2-0 Classic again this week. Likewise, take down Creator as well. So very well done to Nightmare. Again, he's an amazing player. Very unfortunate that he's teamless. Very unfortunate that Nightmare is without a team. And hopefully he can find a team for the next season of WTL. Again, Nightmare, he very much so deserves to be supported. But we'll see. We'll see if a team is able to pick him up and are able to get him on a roster. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And with that, that does conclude our weekly Asia Cup for the 214th week here. But we have more to come. We have ESL Open Cup Americas and ESL Open Cup Europe. For maybe people that are tuning in for the first time, these Open Cups are open. They're not region locked, but they are server based. So, you know, as well as they have time zones dedicated to favor certain regions of the world. We have our Asia Cup initially, and in a couple of hours, in 5 hours time, we have the European Open Cup as well. And we should be there to cover that. In those 5 hours. The one event that we won't be casting is the Americas Open Cup, because that is just it's at a rough time. It's at a very bad time for European coverage, and I am currently in Poland, so we won't be able to get into that, unfortunately. And yeah, with that, we are going to be getting and settling into the European Cup thereafter. So yeah, from here, we're going to be going on a short break. 5 hours time, we'll be back. We'll be back with our next broadcast. See you then. See you then. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great time here. Hope you had a great weekend watching IM Katowice. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It's all that you do want to see. So yeah, it was there. And I highly recommend checking out the VODs. I was fortunate enough to be there. Again, I'm really appreciative to the people that were there, as well as able to meet up with the casters, with the admin team, with the production, and they were gracious enough to give me a gift as well. It's on social media if you're interested. But I got an ESL shirt with signatures from everyone involved, basically from everyone, from the admin team, from the players, from the English coverage, from the Polish coverage. It was really cool. I really do appreciate it, and I will cherish it. I will cherish the memories and cherish the shirt as best I can. I mean, I have to frame it now. I like I have to frame it for my first premiere event, for my first IM Katowice. I have to frame it and I have to take care of it. Of course, I'll find it. I'll post it in the chat. But it was really cool meeting up with everyone. I think I spoke about this, but I may as well say it here on stream as well. I was so shocked when I was meeting the players and when they knew who I was. I was so shocked because obviously I interact a lot with the foreign players, so they knew me. They were a lot more familiar, like players like Trigger and Kellizer and Skillus. I was shocked when some of the Koreans knew me, just because we cast in English, right? We cast in English. Shout out to Shin. He was like, oh, I'm like I didn't even say anything. I didn't introduce myself to any of the players. I didn't want to like be that like presumptuous. I never introduced myself to any of the players. But Shin, as soon as he saw me, he was like, oh, caster. She was like, I'm like, yeah, do you watch? She's like, CranKy Ducklings. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so he said he was a fan, which was really cute. Hero was the same. He was like, oh, he's like, he said, I love your smile. You have a really good smile. I'm like, oh, Papi, oh, you have a good smile. You have a good smile. So Hero was complimenting me, and he also recognized me as a caster. Shout out to Solar makes more sense because he speaks good English. But shout out to Solar. He referred to me as the Papi guy. Didn't even say Papi caster. He's like, oh, you're the Papi guy. I'm like, yes, that's me, Papi. And as soon as he heard that, his ears melted. He's like, oh, you have a beautiful voice, Papi, a beautiful voice. And I said it for him. It was crazy. It was beautiful. I think those are the only three, if I'm not mistaken. When it comes to the Korean players, the others, of course, I introduced myself, but they didn't quite. I mean, again, I didn't mention my name, or I didn't mention the CranKy Ducklings. I'm sure if I did, I'm sure they would recognize it just because I cast them on a regular basis. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I know, you should join my lobby. you join my lobby every day. Yeah, it was Shin, Solar, and Hero who initiated and who did recognize me, which was really cool. Outside of that, of course, it was really cool meeting all the other talents at IM, all the other players as well. Even like I didn't expect Cyril to recognize me, just because he's not active in the chat, and we don't even get to cast Cyril too often. When it comes to European events and European players, and because Cyril doesn't really play in online cups, we don't really get to cover Cyril too much. So I was a little bit surprised that he recognized me, which was really cool. I felt very appreciative when he was like, oh, you're Lights, right? So I'm like, yeah, you didn't even call me the Papi caster. He knew my name. Did recognize me from the CranKy Ducklings as well, which was really cool. We were able to meet for the first time. And of course everyone else involved as well. Hold on, I'll post the shirt. A lot of signatures, Papi, a lot of signatures. They got a shirt. Should have been pants. True. I mean, they knew that I wouldn't wear it. That's the thing. They knew, Papi. They knew. And yeah, with that, I think we're with that, I think we're done for today. When it comes to IM, I don't really know if I have many stories. Like I was just really there to watch, to experience the event from the crowd. The crowd was great, by the way. I think that was like the best part of IM was being immersed in the crowd and the audience, and they were so hyped for so many of the players and so many of the matches as well. A lot of Hero fans, a lot of Clem fans, Cyril, Maru as well. Like the crowd would go crazy when like certain plays would be made and stuff like that. I don't know if the mic could pick up the crowd. If the like I obviously I didn't get to tune into any of the streams, so I don't know if the mic could pick up the crowd. But yeah, it was wild, Papi. It was wild. It was really cool to be there. Packed audience, you know, lines going out the door to get inside, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there were people there that weren't able to experience the event themselves. That is a little bit sad, that there wasn't enough room for everyone. Maybe in the future, it's possible that maybe StarCraft would be a part of the Spodek Arena again. Maybe it's hard to say. Like, clearly there's interest for more people than the auditorium has to pack. For those wondering, basically you have the main Spodek Arena, which StarCraft wasn't at. StarCraft was off to the side in its own auditorium, basically. And it was, you know, it was really cool, it was really cozy, and it was packed. But clearly, you know, we could do with some more room. But we're in this weird like middle ground where we could probably fill up more than the auditorium, but we probably wouldn't fill up the Spodek Arena. That's why StarCraft was moved out of the arena, just because there just wasn't enough of a crowd there. So we need a nice in between. That'd be the ideal. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in future years. We'll see what happens in the upcoming 2025 and onwards. Outside of that, it's really cool to meet a bunch of people that I've otherwise only known online. I tweeted about it as well. I had my first autograph request where I had to sign some mouse pads for the first time, and I messed up because I've never had to autograph before, right? Because I was able to meet a bunch of fans. I was also really excited to meet people that recognize me. Like people, like I'd be like standing in line, or I'd be going to get food, and then people would recognize me, and I'm like, oh my god, they'd come up. I had to autograph for the first time, and I just did my regular signature, which is my name, right? It's obviously it's in cursive and it's my signature, but I realized that it by no means reflects like my online ID, Live VIP. So I should probably have like a separate signature for that, and I'm not prepared for that. So I guess for the next event, if I ever go to another offline event, I'm gonna have to work on my signature for that kind of scenario. So yeah, I was woefully underprepared for that, but there are fans out there now with my signature. That's true. So it was really cool to run into people from like the Americas, from other parts of Europe as well, people that have traveled far and telling me how appreciative they are of like my casting and what I do and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really surreal. It was really surreal to run into fans like that. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. And of course, the event itself was great as well. I was cheering hard for Hero. I was cheering for Hero. He had a great series, but a brutal end. We don't have to talk about it, but Hero versus Cure on Golden Ore was brutal, especially after Hard Lead. Yo, if you're watching, okay, no spoilers, but if you missed out, I highly recommend watching Hero versus Cure, especially the hard game map. I think it was like, that was map 3, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 on Hard Lead. That was crazy. Like the crowd was going wild for Hero with what he was able to pull off. Like that was just, oh my god. But the roller coaster ride of emotions from Hard Lead to Golden Ore. Golden Ore was so sad. Like, oh my god, that was heartbreaking. Like so many of us was so, it was such a brutal moment. And yeah, much love to Hero. Like unfortunately his run ended there, but potentially could have gone further. Potentially could have gone much further as well. Yeah. All right, sorry, predictions. Almost didn't do the predictions. My apologies. So your predictions have been paid out. We're in Poland. I am in Poland. He's so dedicated, he doesn't stop casting just because he's across the world. Exactly. You can't stop me. You can't stop me from casting. But yeah, with that, I guess we're done for night. We're done for now. Fun fact, I'm gonna go sleep. Fun fact, I'm gonna go to bed. We do have ESL Open Cup Europe in 5 hours, in just under 5 hours time. I need to get some rest. I need to get some sleep. I'm gonna have a quick power nap before getting ready for ESL Europe. I didn't sleep much, right? It's like IM Katowice ended, went back to the hotel. We got a couple of hours sleep before traveling back to where I am now. So yeah, we got yeah. I still have to unpack, and I still have to, like, you know, do a bunch of laundry and get everything going, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do, a lot to settle back into. But we'll be back in 5 hours with some ESL Open Cup Europe. Look forward to it. Also, a shout out to, for those that are wondering, there were even some players that were traveling. A shout out to Astra. Astra was there. He was in the crowd. There were a couple of crowd shots where you could see Astra. He was in the 3D Clan jersey. We also had Zane. Zane was there. Papi was there. Geralt was there. A Laser was there. Yeah, it was really cool to see Eon Blue, like a bunch of players traveling from around Europe, from around the country, to be a part of IM Katowice. So yeah, it was just a great celebration of StarCraft. Great celebration. And then with that, we're done. We're done for tonight. We're done for the time being. We'll be back in 5 hours. Until then, enjoy yourselves. Watch the VODs. Watch IM Katowice. Immerse yourself in all the StarCraft. We'll be back later on tonight with ESL Open Cup Europe. See you then. Until then, hasta luego. Bye, papi, bye. Hasta luego, papi. Hasta luego.